It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Jeff Jarvis is here, Aunt Pruitt, Stacy Higginbotham. We will talk about Google's ad market. It's 10 times bigger than the stock market, but completely unregulated. Should it continue to be? We'll also talk about the fediverse having some problems in Android, the Google Changelog, and then a very, very moving farewell to Chadwick Boseman from a guy who knew him pretty well. That's all next on Twig. This Week in Google is brought to you from Twit's LastPass Studios. Securing every access point in your company doesn't have to be a challenge. LastPass unifies access and authentication to make securing your employees simple and secure, even when they're working remotely. Check out lastpass.com/twit to learn more.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 575, recorded Wednesday, September 2nd, 2020. Thank you, Chad. This episode of This Week in Google is brought to you by LastPass. Let LastPass improve your employees' experience while safeguarding your business from cyber threats. LastPass is the #1 password manager. Visit lastpass.com/twit to find out how they can help you. And by Monday.com. Monday.com is a flexible platform to manage any team, project, or workflow online. Collaborate, plan, and track everything your team is working on, wherever you are. To start your free 14-day trial, go to monday.com/twit. It's time for Twig, This Week in Google, the show where we cover the latest news from Google and parts around there. And that's Aunt Pruitt. He is coming to us from his house in beautiful Northern California. Hello, Anthony. Good to see you.
Hello, Mr. Laporte.
You're in the
squad.
barn.
How y'all doing?
Yeah, we're doing good. You're in the barn today, I could tell. That's good.
With purple walls.
Purple barn. It's nice. Everybody ought to have a purple barn. Also, Jeff Jarvis visiting us from New Jersey. He is, of course, the Leonard Tao. Wait a minute, I'm getting it. The Leonard Tao Professor for Journalistic Innovation at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. He's also a blogger at buzzmachine.com, prolific writer, and all about man about town.
Prolific. Do you think I say too much? You think I write too much? You got a problem with that?
I said prolific, not prolix. There's a difference, as Stacy Higginbotham well knows. She's my editor, red pencil in hand, Stacy on IoT.com. Now, we have to warn everyone, Stacy is doing some home improvements right now.
Hear the gentle whir of the saw and the ka-chunk-ka-thunk of the nail gun.
But that's good.
Stacy has her tool belt on.
Yeah, it's good. She's getting her windows done. I am going to have
my 1969 windows replaced.
Oh, yeah, it's good to do that.
It was time.
Yeah, we did that a little while ago on our house.
You get the double paned insulated things and all that.
Exactly. Soon you won't hear everything. I know. I'm going on mute. Bye.
Don't worry about it. No. Please. We love it. It's like home improvement.
He enjoys the real life of it.
Yeah, I love it. No, that's good. We were talking about that, in the early days of COVID. People said, don't let anybody see your dog in your Zoom calls. It's like, by now, everybody's saying, do you have a dog? You got a cat? You got a mouse, hamster, snake,
They're
anything?
looking for it now.
Anything to relieve this boredom?
Yeah, anything.
I'm on Zoom today from 9 a.m. until whenever we end, which will be 7:30-ish.
All day on Zoom?
All day.
Is that your office hours now?
No, I just had I had two meetings, then I had an event, and then I had class right before this. Then I have this wonderful moment. So, by the way, I'm going to tell you something. I woke up this morning, which I do, and I pull up the rundown. I do my work right as soon as I get up.
Thank you.
And I looked at it and I said, I don't want to be on this show.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It was like This Week in Content Moderation. And so I went a little crazy. I added a lot of stuff.
Fantastic.
I found lots of things other than oh, Facebook left up a post or Google took down a post. Bored me silly.
And by the way,
all kinds of stuff.
Those stories have been in our
important, though, Mr. Jarvis.
But wait a minute. But those stories have been in my rundowns for the last 2 weeks. You notice I haven't been doing those stories.
I know, but there was nothing else that I thought.
I get so bored by that. I don't.
So I took it over. I even added a new category. You notice that?
Oh, I didn't catch that.
There's a new green category on it.
TikTok?
Right above the... No, right.
Security?
Right. Jesus.
Elon Musk?
Really,
moral panic. There's moral panic over misinformation. Moral panic against cats. Moral panic over QAnon. Moral panic over screen time. And then sex and social media, a new book about moral panic regarding sex online. And we, my friends, will cover those topics. You have my word.
I took it over.
In Google.
And then
Karsten was going to have us just be depressed today.
Don't blame Karsten, because I bookmarked those too, and they're probably all stuff I bookmarked as well. I bookmark them, but it doesn't mean we have to talk about.
I'm just warning.
Actually,
you.
Did you see that Herman Cain tweeted?
Yeah.
Now that's amazing.
That gave me some levity during some dark times.
Oh man, got to cut those burritos out. So. What's weird is he tweeted an anti-Biden video. So who is doing the Cain gang? Obviously not Herman.
From hell.
Wow. He's keeping up on the election, though. You got to respect a guy. No. So by the way,
will he vote too?
You're going to hear this here first, but I think you're going to hear more of this. Twitter has apparently placed somewhat of a hold on banning trolls and things. I've been getting emails. I regularly go through the things and request stuff taken down. And I've been getting emails saying, due to COVID, we're busy and then never hearing again. And I've been checking with some other people's services that do this and so forth. And they're saying, yeah, something weird's going on at Twitter for the last 2 weeks.
Oh.
No takedowns.
It's been more than 2 weeks. I've been seeing that for at least a month.
Yeah. And then this morning, a very well-known rumor guy, the Walking Cat, who we've used for a long time or referred to a long time on Windows Weekly, because he does a lot of Windows tweets, was banned. He tweeted some information from the Intel event, which happened this morning, right before the Intel event, obviously a leak, not anything we hadn't heard before, and boom, his page is gone.
That's weird.
So they are banning something, but apparently not taking requests. It's like that radio station where you call up and they go, no, we don't take requests.
Well, so
it makes you wonder, why would he or she be banned? Is it just strictly because of rumor mill or what?
Well, but he's been doing these kinds of leaks for several years. He's very well known. He's one of the well-known leakers, often very accurate. Does it that Intel has so much clout that they can call up Jack Dorsey and say, Jack, can you help us out here? And boom, he's gone. Or what?
Or the algorithm's been going a little nutty, I think. So Molly Jean Fast, right? Is that how I say it?
Yeah, I love her. Yeah.
Yeah, she's great. And a friend of mine, Kate Klonick, who's an expert who's in law on Section 230 and Facebook and stuff, she tweeted a scene where Molly was like on something and she said, "Stop that or I'll kill you." Obviously to a kid or a dog, and just quoted that, and she got warned for her account being taken down.
Yeah, I
think quoted, "I'll kill you." So it's clearly algorithmic.
I think everybody's gone home. Well, we know that, and and it's just the algorithms now.
Did you know about the Twitter account called VC Brags?
Yeah.
So it's gone now. It's not gone. It's stopped.
Why?
It's a kind of a funny story. So there was speculation because VCs evidently hate VC Brags.
Yeah, because it's a parody account.
Right. And so VCs they have too much money and no sense of humor. And so VC brags all the time about who's blocking them, what major VCs are blocking them, right? So one person was a VC and is now has a company and gets VC money, there was some joking rumor that it was him, because everyone wonders, who is this person? And he played along for a day because it clearly couldn't be him because he was a VC and da-da-da-da. Well, then people actually thought it was him. And so it was getting too close for comfort. So whoever it is who runs VC Bragg said, okay, this has been fun, but I'm going to stop.
Really?
That's it. The stories there. But in that, when I was doing my research this morning, trying to find happier topics like this, I found the example of, I saw the work of VC Bragg's, and Professor Cold Takes is just brilliant.
Professor Cold Takes.
I'll let you find it.
Is
there.
the new
Yes,
VC Bragg's?
No. It's a subject of VC Bragg's. Scott Galloway. They make fun of Scott Galloway.
Oh, I love. Yeah, you're no fan, I know, of Scott Galloway. Professor Cold Takes.
I used to like him, but he's gone over.
He's become. So here's Professor Cold
I
Takes.
still like Galloway. I think he's pretty funny.
I'm gonna do a shit ton of heroin before I die, and as long as I feel good, I think it'll be worthwhile. I thought that'd be funnier.
This is the official trailer for Professor Cold Takes.
On the campus of New York's Stern School of Business comes a respected academic, successful entrepreneur, generous philanthropist, best-selling author, and devoted family man. He's living the American dream. But there's just one problem. He just can't seem to get his business predictions right.
Our next guest says Tesla's going to take a dive, dropping below $100 a share in the next year.
Yeah.
Why will it drop below $100?
I missed on that one.
What's the problem?
So I made this call 3 months ago and it was at $300, so it's halfway there.
This idea of the future of transportation, the future of the world, and if you're a retail investor, that's pretty exciting.
It's now $1,462. Macy will be the most successful retailer.
Not Amazon.
Not Amazon. Whoops.
Shares of Macy's lower today after reporting dismal results for the first quarter. Online furniture firm Wayfair shares crash.
Wayfair, it's gone out of business. It's over.
800%.
800%.
Big winner and quite the comeback story.
Wayfair stock is on
I saw a spat between him and Calcanis.
Galloway and Calcanis?
Oh, I don't know who I would root for in that one. Oh man, that's a hard one.
It was entertaining. Galloway took it as stalking, if you will, from Calcanis, but I think he was just trolling, just
honestly
poking fun at him because of some of his previous.
This is the problem. People get in fights on Twitter all the time, and it's like, please get off Twitter. Just don't. You're not doing yourself a favor. Just stop it. I learned my lesson years ago, and getting in a fight with people like Calcanis.
You see what Leo was doing now before the show? Leo was reading something intently. I asked him, what are you reading? He said, you're going to laugh at me. I said, go ahead, tell me. I'm going to laugh at you. And he said, Twitter. He was engrossed in Twitter. He was enjoying Twitter.
He
said Twitter's good.
No,
he gets on the air.
Okay.
He starts smashing
Can I
Twitter
be clear? I was engrossed in Twitter because, as usual with Twitter, I'm trying to understand, am I having a stroke or does this tweet make no sense? That's pretty much my reaction. It's like, what are they talking about? I guess I'm just not part of the Twitterati. I
still stand by you needing to better curate your Twitter experience.
I stand by my get off of all social media.
Get off of it?
All social media. All of it. Except TikTok. Stay on TikTok.
Oh, come on.
We're waiting. Supposedly, TikTok would be, they said it would be Tuesday, the announcement that who had acquired TikTok. Microsoft, in a consortium with Walmart and who else is involved in that one? Microsoft, Walmart, and then there's the Oracle bid. So there's at least two bids. But then I think actually Mary Jo Foley nailed it earlier today on Windows Weekly when she said, "No, there's a long weekend coming up. We're gonna have the biggest news dump in the history of the world, 4 p.m. Friday." And among all of the things that they'll announce is who bought TikTok. What I'm really curious is how well compensated the U.S. is going to be. That's the president's phrase, that the U.S. better be well compensated by whoever buys TikTok.
I just don't understand how it works.
Is that legal?
How does acquisitions work?
He said. Okay, President Donald, this is from Bloomberg. Donald Trump says he's told people involved in the sale of ByteDance's TikTok the deal, A, must be struck by September 15th, and B, the federal government must be well compensated or the service will be shut down. It's like I just can't. What?
He's got the power, right? Right.
It makes
no sense.
No, he doesn't actually. He doesn't have the power to do this. That's
I
the
said
thing.
that tongue in cheek.
And that's looking out for the United States interests. Either we get well paid or we're going to shut it down. Well, is it a security threat or not? I don't understand. I don't get any of it.
So I wrote a post about this yesterday.
Okay.
And I got really upset because it was about this and it was about the Australians demanding
that's another one.
Money from demanding money from Facebook, which we can talk about together. But shutting down TikTok should be a First Amendment issue because it is the press of the people.
Even if it's owned by China.
I don't care. It's what people are using, and we have to grapple with that fact that we have a First Amendment.
Well, then China is censoring it because China does actually influence. China does influence who can post what people see on TikTok. So if that's
they can, but we can't by law.
Right.
Okay.
That's the difference, right? And so if we choose to use it, if the people of America have used it as their press and they now have a press finally, and that press gets taken away from them, I still argue that is a First Amendment violation.
It's really interesting. I mean, I think it's very complicated. I think that's a legitimate point of view. I think also the theory held by people like Amy Webb but it is also a political arm of the Chinese government, and as a result, we have to be very careful about it because it could be used against us is also a legitimate point of view. I don't honestly know what the right answer is on that one. Let's move on because there's many other things that can cause Jeff's blood pressure to go up, and I want to make sure.
But I was going to say we'll never know the right answer on that, and that's what makes this story so difficult for us, I think, as Americans, because we're absolutists in ways, and we believe there is a central truth.
Oh, you're so right.
And here we'll never know the central truth because it's China. In China, they don't have a central truth.
We deal,
if they do,
and we don't. Under the president, that's one of the kind of central tenets of, I believe, his strategy is confuse everything as much as possible so that you can't say with any certainty what's going on. That's actually a pretty good strategy, as it turns out. It works well for me.
Yeah. Squirrel!
I just pay no attention after a while. You just give up. So you're right, and we don't like that, do we, Stacey? We don't like living in that gray area between.
We hate it.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that's human, or is that uniquely American?
I think Americans tend to be uncomfortable with gray. We want to make definitive statements.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's part of our national character. Because, you know why? Because we believe in good and right and wrong, good and evil. We believe in that. And we believe, you can judge. And we get really stymied when there's something that is like, I don't know, is it good or bad? I don't know. It's chaotic neutral. We don't do well with that.
We're chaotic neutral.
Yeah, chaotic neutral. I don't know what that is. Google wants to build a new village. Would you like to live in Google Town?
Yo, I want to live in Google Island, remember? We were going to move there.
No, because I don't want to stay in my RV 24/7.
This is actually this I think is specifically.
And excuse me, it's not an RV, it's a tiny house.
Tiny house.
And then everything's okay.
This is specifically so Google employees will stop living in the parking lot. They want to build a village next to their campus and other Mountain View tech hubs. It'll be called Middlefield Park. There you go.
I thought it was going to be called Middle Earth.
Middle Earth. Look,
perfect, right?
Little black children and little white children playing together in the water coming out of the ground. Oh, well, wait a minute. There's also
that's how they're taking showers because nobody can afford to have a home with a shower.
The cafe. Here that's Ellis Plaza.
That's a self-driving bus in the background, you think?
No, that's the light rail. That already exists.
Oh, it is. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would dramatically resculpt a large area now dominated by old tech buildings and huge parking lots. That is a really ugly area.
Yeah, they are.
So those tilt-ups and everything, right? It's 1,600 homes between East Middlefield Road. That's where the name comes from. And State Route 237. I know exactly where that is. Middlefield Park near Middlefield Road is new housing. In fact, both Apple and Google have both pledged hundreds of millions of dollars to fix the housing problem in Silicon Valley.
And Facebook too. I think all three.
Yeah, because nobody can afford to live there. And they can't, it's hard to attract employees. Now, I think one solution is to say, well, you don't have to. I suspect that's going to be a big part of the post-COVID world is people working from off-site.
Yep, way off-site, like different cities.
From there, yeah. Google's development, 37% open space, 30% office space, 24% residential, only 6% parking, 2% retail, and 1% civic uses. It's an interesting idea. Apparently, Mountain View wants to do it.
The housing crisis is so awful.
Yeah.
Would the tax base for this be better than those office buildings?
If the office buildings are vacant, yes. And I suspect this is, at least at this time, this is probably a concern.
Would Google act as the landlord, or are they just trying to get that? Are they underwriting? Like, what role does Google have in this other than pushing it?
That's a good question. I'm reading through this.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand if this is going to be strictly a Google property for Google employees and guests, or is this
that's not?
No, I don't think so.
No,
because nobody wants any. We don't want company towns coming back. I'm sorry.
Oh, my soul to the company store. Yeah, I think Google does own this. Is building this. Maybe they even already own the.
They were buying up a lot of
land.
Property, right?
Yeah. 12 acres of open space, which is pretty nice.
This is where they can put their smart cities thing, and we can go and marvel at
That's true.
Utopia, dystopian future.
Take that, Toronto.
Well, it's funny because I talked to a lot of tech industry utopians who have this vision of smart cities or smart villages or smart apartment buildings. This is a very common fantasy in the Silicon Valley world. There's somebody's doing this in Vegas.
Leo, you're talking to the expert in it right there.
Who's that?
Stacy.
Are you the expert?
IoT.
Well, she's smart homes.
You say, are we talking about smart
utopians
cities?
who want smart homes.
Cities.
Nobody has a smarter home than Stacy. Well, she would take over the I'm sure Seattle if she could, but she starts with her own base. Nobody has a smarter home than Stacy Higginbotham.
It's actually not true right now. But
Yeah.
I appreciate that you.
I heard she doesn't even have windows.
Come on.
I heard there's no windows in her house. That's what I heard.
These are the new ones.
Not yet. So this is interesting. I don't think it's been approved by the Mountain View City Council yet, but they love these guys. So
yeah.
But it's unclear. Like, is Google gonna own? If Google owns the land, are they going to pay to develop the housing, or are they going to work with the developer?
There's a Canadian developer.
And then do they get
Australian developer that they're working with. Lend Lease, a developer with global scope.
Oh yeah, Lend Lease is big. They're huge. And they've worked with Google on some other things. Okay, so they're working with them. They're going to build the houses. Do people buy the houses or do people rent the houses?
Don't know.
I imagine that there'll also be a little bit of give and take with the city council. Usually what happens with city government is they say, okay, we want 23% to be low-income housing, which, we want a certain amount to be for sale. We want a certain amount to be rent. I mean, I suspect that all of that is still to TBD. But I think this is very interesting. But it is a little bit of company town, though, isn't it? Really? I mean, that's kind of interesting. It's a very Larry Page idea.
Well, yeah, like, is it something like, do you have to work at Google to be able to live there?
I don't know.
And if you do work there, what happens when you get fired?
Right.
I mean, we already tie our health insurance to our employment. Do we want to tie our living arrangements?
Hey, I like it. Why not cradle to grave Google Town?
I'm there. I'm there.
You already live there, Jeff. But what about that? What about that? What if you, as a young family, could move to cradle to grave Google Town, and Google takes care of you? Google basically runs the local government because they're smarter than the average bear, and they use data, and the traffic lights are always just right, and there's always exactly the right amount of pizza available, and all of that.
Man, paint the picture.
You got me there. You got me a picture.
Yeah, there's gummy bears in every department. You know, just what if and then
Stacey,
and then a guaranteed pension when you hit 65 and a half, you get Google retired.
Oh, and the death benefits at Google are amazing.
Are they?
Oh yeah, yeah. Your family is really taken care of. You get.
And then the funny thing is, you move in, and 4 years later, Google closes it down.
Right. In typical Google fashion.
Goodbye.
Sorry, we're gonna tear it all down.
Yeah. Cradle to grave, not exactly.
It's not received. We're not getting the data.
Stacey,
yeah, right. Cradle to third grade. That's all we can do.
Mountain View Voice says it is a mix of rental and for sale housing units, predominantly in the form of stacked flats that can maximize the number of residential units in the area. Would include 20% affordable housing units. God knows how you define affordable in the valley.
Yeah.
Depending upon how many units are built. Would create 335 to 370 deed restricted units for low income housing.
I like that idea that all of that is mixed in, but I have concerns on a personal level as far as if I was working for Google or whatever, like full-time employee at Google, I don't know if I necessarily want to live that close to work. It's just personally, I need a little bit more separation. And, like where I live now here in Northern California, I'm just enough to be far away from the studio to feel that I'm not at work, and it's comfortable that way. I've had people in my past at previous employers where they lived around the block and their phone always ring and they were always at the office. And I never thought that was healthy, nor did I think it was fair to them as an employee.
But on the other hand, Ant, having had until March an hour and 45-minute each way commute, being near work sounds like heaven to me. And that's why I'm kind of enjoying
right. And then I did have some scenarios where I used to live an hour away and I hated being that far away. Mm-hmm. I agree. There was a sweet spot, being just enough far away, but not.
Like how long does it take you to get to the studio?
Where they can say, hey, can you come in and unplug and replug this thing in for us? That's no.
How long does it take you to get into the studio when you go there?
Pardon?
How long does it take you to get to the studio when you actually used to go there?
15 minutes, 20 minutes tops.
Yeah, that sounds lovely to me.
I love it.
I've always basically had the 5-minute commute, or 2-minute, 30-second. I don't really know. Do we count like bedroom to coffee to desk?
I have a trailer from the Google Village concept. This is just an example of what it will be like when you wake up in your stacked flat in Google Town, USA. Just peek out the window at the perfectly manicured lawns.
Where am I?
I thought it was going to be Pleasantville.
Now, are you too young to remember The Prisoner, Stacey?
I am too young to remember The Prisoner.
Oh,
love
man.
it. It's amazing.
One of the greatest shows of all time.
Still makes no sense.
It makes no sense. He's a secret agent who decides to get out. But it turns out when you leave the British Secret Service, you end up being sent to the village, which is full of kind of Stepford wife types, and you can't escape. Every time you do, a giant ball tracks you down and brings you back. Do you remember this, Ant?
No, I've never heard of this, but I need to watch it just for the hilarity.
I am a free man. I am not a number.
This is Black Mirror before there was Black Mirror.
Oh, it was the greatest. It was the greatest.
It was great.
Yeah.
When did it premiere? We were probably too young for the premiere.
1967.
Yeah, we didn't.
So I was 11. Yeah, I don't think I would have gotten it, but I definitely saw it soon after. I was probably middle school.
It was British, so we didn't see it in the U.S. until
That's right.
It was on public radio.
It's probably on public TV. Yeah.
Yeah,
if you've never seen Patrick McGoohan, who is great. And the funny part is, and I was a big fan of Secret Agent, which was the show prior to that where he played a James Bond style secret agent. And so there was a certain amount of inside joke when his next thing was The Prisoner, about a secret agent who leaves the Secret Service and is trapped in the village. I always loved Patrick McGowan. I think he was one of my favorite actors back in the day. Google is pulling or maybe pulling fediverse apps. Now, we have a fediverse Mastodon instance called twit.social. And one of the great things about the fediverse, it's a competitor to Twitter, but it is decentralized. So if you go to twit.social, you'll sign up for a Mastodon account, and then we federate with other Mastodon instances. And there's software that you could put on iOS or Android that lets you join the fediverse. Google has warned it's going to pull many of these programs from the Play Store for, and this is interesting, an interesting problem, inciting hate speech. Android titles like Fedilab, Husky, and Subway Tutor help you connect to Twit Social, but also help you connect to things like Gab. When Gab was shut down for being home to neo-Nazis and so forth, they moved to a fork for Mastodon. They became part of the Fediverse. Now, every Mastodon instance I'm part of, including our own, blocks Gab and other Nazi sites. Certainly, neo-Nazis are a problem on Twitter. Interesting that Google wants to shut it down, not by trying to shut down these Fediverse sites like Gab, but by blocking the clients. The apps, as of a couple of days ago, are still on the Play Store, according to Engadget. So maybe they thought better of it after getting some publicity. It's an interesting conundrum. This is what people try to do to Google, right? With the right to be forgotten. Well, we're not going to pull down those sites that have articles we don't like. We'll just pull them from the search results, so they don't exist. Pull it from the Fediverse. Yeah, I think it's overreaching, and it would hurt us. I mean, Twit Social is, it's not exactly the most vibrant place in the world. This is the problem with Mastodon in general, is that it's not well known, I think.
Right.
So I actually am not logged in on this machine. That shows you how often. But because it's not centralized, you can't say one thing or another. You can pull down any given server, I guess, or complain about any given server, but you can't attribute any particular kind of content to the Fediverse as a whole, or can you? I don't know.
This is when a lawyer is needed.
Yeah, maybe.
Sounds like Loophole City.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't know. I didn't know there was a Fediverse. I feel kind of ignorant.
Twit.social, here it is. If you want to visit the Fediverse, go right on in there. Because it looks a lot like TweetDeck, right? Instead of tweeting, you toot. Because the
sounds like you fart.
Wait.
Well, the mascot is a mastodon.
No beans needed.
So it's
an
elephant.
The mastodon, like a conglomeration of Mastodon servers, is the Fediverse?
Yeah. So Mastodon.
Oh.
So Mastodon is, and there is Mastodon.social, which is Eugen's home server. But what it really is software and a protocol. And so for instance, I set up a twit.social server running on a different server. But so my address is twit.social @Leo. And if you are on mastodon.social, you can follow twit.social @Leo. That's my fully qualified name. And then my toots will show up in your toot stream.
Yeah, I think I could do without your toots.
I'm sorry, I'm a child.
Yes, I know.
I'm just like, nope. Don't need them, don't want them.
By the way, did you see the Washington Post story today about toilets and COVID?
Yeah, well, we knew that.
They never go into the bathroom
we
again.
Suspected
we knew
this.
that it's worse. It's worse.
Yeah. So the issue is, experts have said for a while that COVID can be spread both through saliva and through poop. And the problem is if you go in a public restroom and once you flush the toilet, as you know, that's, kind of aerosolizes whatever's in there. It's yes. By the way, those Dyson hand dryers too, they're really good at that as well. So
yeah, but you know what? Usually when you put your hands under the Dyson, you've washed them. So that's a little
oh,
more
really?
difference.
So you wash them first. That makes a lot more sense.
I'm like, every time people are like freaking out about that, I'm like, but
your hands are clean.
Hands.
Well, but it also picks up whatever is in the air. And the problem with COVID is I think really now it's kind of widely accepted. It's an aerosolized spread. That's the real problem. It's not fomites. It's the aerosol. That's at least what I read. You're the one who follows all these people on Twitter. Mm-hmm. But there is actually a toilet or a Dyson is an excellent aerosolizer. And so you go into a public restroom, there could be once it's aerosolized, it can last for many hours. There could be just this floating cloud.
Unless you change the air in the room like 8 times an hour.
You have to really ventilate.
Yeah. So by the way, put the seat down before you flush.
If you have a lid, but many men's rooms do not have lids.
Most public ones don't.
Yeah, but even in your home, y'all, like I sometimes see people in their house and they've got their toothbrush in their bathroom.
Oh, I never thought of that, Stacey. Oh,
and
wow.
You need to always shut that lid before you flush, especially if your toothbrush is there.
Yep.
Ooh. Well, I think we've all learned something today. Maybe we should take a break for a commercial. Too bad Toto is not a sponsor any longer. I would really love to do a Toto ad right now.
The Toto washlet would be perfect here.
Oh, they were a sponsor.
I love them even more now.
Oh, I have 3 of them. Every bathroom in our house has a Toto. I got the first one. I had to convince Lisa. She said, it's one of those Japanese bidet toilets. Yeah. And you've used ours, Aunt.
No, she did. I didn't. She did.
Oh, she did? Okay. So I said, Lisa, we should get this. It'd be really cool. Because I think we'd even used them in Japan. And she said, no. So I said, we'll just try it. So we put it in the master. And she said, after a month or 2, we had them everywhere because it's like. Anyway, that's not our sponsor today.
No. This is Twig, not this weekend Toto.
No, we had Toto washlets were a sponsor for a while. I think it was actually a Wayfair co-op, so I think it was actually a Wayfair ad or wherever they were. Yeah, I think they were selling them through Wayfair.
So who is today's sponsor, Leo?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Stacey Higginbotham. It's LastPass. Here we are in the LastPass studios. Oh, we're putting together a good LastPass event for, October is Security Month. Next month is Security Month. So we're going to do a couple of events all around security. We're going to do a LastPass event. And I pitched this to them, and I thank you, LastPass, for going for it. We're going to have red teams and blue teams. We're going to have hackers and defenders. And the hacker team is going to come up with an attack. And they're going to fire it at the defenders. And then the defending team, which will consist of security experts, will say, well, here's how we would defend against that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think we'll learn an awful lot. So stay tuned for the details on that LastPass event coming up. It's, I think, our 3rd LastPass event of the year. We've really been having fun doing these. You know who LastPass is, of course. LastPass is all about what they call, in the biz, IAM. Identity and access management. I think a lot of people think of LastPass as a password vault, and it's that. In fact, it's the best password vault ever. I store more than passwords in there. My passports, my driver's license, social security numbers, PGP keys, anything that needs to be securely stored but available on all my devices, LastPass is the place to put it. But it's so much more than just a vault. Normally, you think of security, it's either security or convenience, one or the other. You can't have both. But single sign-on is a perfect example of something that's more secure, better than passwords, and it's more convenient. You just press yes on your phone and you're logged in. You want your employees to use LastPass to protect them. And you want it to, and not just them, but your most vital resources, your banking, your databases, customer records, things like that. But you want it has to be convenient or they won't use it. Plus, you want a centralized view of what they're doing. You need to know who has access to what from where, especially with employees at home, right? They're no longer coddled in the umbrella of the IT department. They're on their own networks, which come and go. They're up and down. You want to make sure that if it looks like Joe from accounting is logged into QuickBooks, it really is Joe from accounting, not Dimitri from Sebastopol. So it's really important that you use LastPass. Enterprise password management gives oversight, a shadow IT, and enforceable policies. For instance, we require two-factor of all our employees. We have minimum master password requirements. Multi-factor authentication. This is so sweet. It's more than just fingerprint or face recognition. It uses biometrics, but also uses contextual factors, things like IP address and geolocation. It makes the process even easier for employees, and it makes you more secure. And if you're sharing passwords, and you know what, all employees share passwords, and they're at home, you don't want them texting or emailing passwords to their colleagues. LastPass makes it easy and safe for employees to share logins. Keeping access to your data safe, there's a completely secure channel within LastPass for password sharing. Employees will always have their passwords with them. They can access the things they need to do to get the job done no matter where they're working, from any device, Android, iOS, Mac, Windows, Linux, everything. Working remotely is actually more convenient, not more frustrating. And you'll rest easy knowing your business is secure with LastPass. 10 years ago, Steve Gibson was shown every bit of LastPass. The creator, Joe Segrist, gave him the tour. Steve was blown away. AES 256-bit encryption. They use PBKDF2, which is the key derivative factor, which makes it hard to brute force any password. They use salted hashes. I mean, they do it all right. And Steve verified that. He said, "Yep, this is the way you should do it." Your data is decrypted and encrypted only at the device level. Your password is never sent to LastPass. It's secret from everyone, including from LastPass. The #1 password manager, but a whole lot more. LastPass Premium, LastPass for families. That's what Lisa and I use at home. And at work, we use LastPass Enterprise. Let LastPass securely manage your user's identity, letting your employees work efficiently without making your business vulnerable to cyber threats. LastPass.com/twit. That's the address. We use it. You should use it. And we are so grateful to LastPass for not only keeping us secure, but for supporting This Week in Google and all of our efforts here at Twit. They are, of course, the naming rights sponsor for the Twit LastPass studios, and we really appreciate it. LastPass.com/twit. I thought this was a very provocative and kind of interesting article. I know, Jeff, you're going to laugh at it, from Gilad Edelman. This is in Wired. Should Google's ad market be regulated like the stock market? Edelman is an expert in antitrust, and his point is kind of interesting. He says, actually, he's quoting antitrust scholar Dina Srinivasan, who has written a paper, the antitrust case. She wrote the antitrust case against Facebook last year. Now in the Stanford Technology Law Review, she has a new paper in which she talks about how the Google ad market works. And I've always had a kind of vague idea, a vague understanding of it. It's fairly complex. This is the auction we've talked about before. Here's how Edelman describes it. When you see an ad online, on a website, for instance, not on our podcast, but on websites, for instance, the odds are very high. The advertiser used Google to buy the ad. The website used Google to put the space up for sale. Google's exchange matched them together. In other words, Google runs both the largest exchange and competes as the biggest buyer and seller on that exchange. It also, on top of that, owns YouTube, one of the biggest suppliers of ad inventory, meaning it's competing against publishers on its own platform. And Srinivasan argues this is exactly what antitrust law was created to protect against, but nobody even thinks twice about it. There apparently is no regulatory oversight of digital advertising.
Well, because
if YouTube wasn't even in the picture, would this be a concern?
Yes, absolutely. But go ahead, Jeff.
Go ahead, Ed.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Ed.
You guys are too polite.
I was wondering if YouTube wasn't in the picture, would this be a concern? But also, just what are the other options? There was, what was that, Bing, right?
It's not that.
Whose fault is it that they're not able to capture more of the?
Well, Google's very good at it.
Whose fault? It's both ends of a market.
That's the problem. It's the same problem as when the movie companies owned the movie theaters. Okay. And it's a classic antitrust case. They were forced to divest. You can't own both the distribution and the product.
Gotcha.
Car dealerships.
There's two things.
Car dealerships, yeah.
Car manufacturers.
Right. So two things about this. I've always said that where Google is most vulnerable is not search, it's advertising. And it does have the power of God in advertising. And they needed to be more mindful of that as they went. However, the way these exchanges work, if I'm on AppNexus, which was bought by Oracle, which is huge, which actually invented programmatic advertising, and that's where I do it still interoperates with Google. So it's not as if Google is a closed world. The auctioning, the bidding occurs across multiple trading floors. So that might be the problem is Google has the biggest on both sides. Yes, no question. And by buying DoubleClick.
And they compete against every other product because they own both. You're on their exchange and they're selling ads on it.
But the other thing to consider is, right, so if Google, I've always talked about this, if Google were an old style media company, they would have been a closed network and they would have said, Google has lots of traffic and lots of audience, and we're like Yahoo, or we're like the New York Times, or Condé Nast, we sell our audience what the market will bear. But of course, Google didn't do that. With AdSense, Google said, we're going to put ads across anybody who wants them. And so we're going to send billions of dollars, literally billions of dollars to media companies everywhere because our ads benefit media everywhere. And so the models are so off from what media used to be. Media used to be about scarcity and controlling the scarcity. Google is about advantaging abundance. And so any law that exists is irrelevant for how this operates, not because it's sneaky, but because it's just taking advantage of a new reality.
If this sounds familiar, you may remember when Sundar Pichai was testifying in front of Congress, Pramila Jayapal from Washington actually cited the paper. She said the problem is Google controls all these entities. So it's running the marketplace, it's acting on the buy side, it's acting on the sell side at the same time, which is a major conflict of interest. It allows you to set rates very low as a buyer of ad space for newspapers, which has hurt them, right? It's deprived them of ad revenue. And then sell high at the same time as you're setting it low for the newspaper, you're setting it high for the small businesses who depend on advertising on your platform.
So actually, Leo, no, this is where I've had this argument with people in the newspaper business. I'll tell you two sides of this. I've said to them, why? In fact, when the New York Times, when Google announced AdSense, I was there that day, and I'm not old. When the New York Times was at the press conference at the event saying, we're going to do this. And I turned to the vice president of the New York Times at the time, who I knew well, and said, why the hell are you I said, why the hell are you doing this? Why are you letting Google in? And the argument I heard, is not only from the New York Times, but especially from smaller papers, was I can expose my ad inventory to advertisers I could never possibly ever in a million years sell to.
Yeah, but it ended up being a deal. It ended up being a deal with the devil.
Well, So then the next problem is, of course, it commodified them, because what matters is the data about the user, not the environment. And it lowered the prices because it was that's what abundance does.
Yes.
I was at.
That's, by the way,
an event that was,
and I have to give credit to Adam Curry for crystallizing this in my mind. I don't give Adam Curry much credit at all for anything, but I do give him credit for this. That's the key, because display ads in a newspaper were a limited, scarce commodity, right? Digital ads are unlimited. There's no scarcity at all. Want some more? We'll make some more. So it's a very different environment, and that what happens when something becomes a commodity as opposed to a scarce entity is the price falls, right? Because it's commoditized.
Well, it's just abundance alone. Now we had an event at the school. It was under Chatham House rules, so I won't say who it was, but I had a major executive, not from Google, I'll say that, from the programmatic ad world. And this executive looked at the media people. I had top level, C-level people, media people in the room, and he or she scolded them and said, why the hell are you on programmatic? Programmatic was intended to get more inventory for direct response. It commodifies you. You shouldn't be there. You should be selling directly. What the hell? And one of the executives in the room, who was a digital pure play executive, said, yes, but sorry, bud, I got to go to where the ad dollars are. And all the ad agencies and all the ad dollars are in programmatic because they think they get these great deals. And so that's where I have to put my advertising.
So what about the premise? Should Google's ad market be regulated like the stock market?
Should it be regulated? Yes. Like the stock market? No.
She writes that on the 13 U.S. stock exchanges combined, about 50 million trades happen every day. On Google's market alone, trade desk, tens of billions of transactions every day.
Because every little ad, because an ad costs pennies. 5 cents.
Yeah.
Stock costs, and stock is a scarcity, by the way, and costs hundreds of dollars. Every time you open a page, folks, and in the time it takes for that ad to come onto the page, all of this auctioning is occurring in the background.
Wait a minute. That's really important.
Yes.
The minute you hit a page and starts loading, the auction begins.
Yes.
And it happens within the milliseconds of loading time before that ad's displayed to you. There's been a bidding war, and the highest bidder has won that ad.
Yes.
Yep.
Wow.
Based on not on environmental data, that is not on a boot ad on a boot page in GQ, but based on cookie data. And this is what may change, right? Because of cookies and browsers and all that changing. But the data about you is more vibrant. The other part of this is so-called retargeting or remarketing ads. You went to Amazon, you looked at some boots. Those friggin' boots follow you around for 3 months, even though you bought the goddamn things. Which, by the way, is don't be so scared about the big.
No, that's an inefficiency.
Monster.
That's actually stupid. Not good. Yeah,
incredibly stupid.
Yeah.
But that data point about you, boot interested buyer, consumer, is more valuable than any environment. So you're looking at a weather site or a sports site or a food site. The damn boots are there. Because that's how remarketing, retargeting, and programmatic work together.
You may remember that some months ago, Google announced, we've decided cookies are a privacy violation. We're going to knock that off. The new Chrome browser will turn off third-party cookies. And everybody cheered. Google's doing the, God's work to protect your privacy. I, being the skeptic I am, said, well, that must be because they've got some better system. And in fact, yesterday on Security Now, Steve Gibson talked about the better system, which is essentially a perfect fingerprinting system that anybody can run if you load their page, that identifies you much better than cookies ever did. So Google said, well, you don't need them anymore.
Right. Everybody hated cookies. Once we discovered cookies, we were like, oh, I don't like cookies. And then we got super cookies, and we're really against those. And then now, basically, this is kind of like a super cookie, isn't it?
Yeah. So the title... Oh, come on now. Come on. Get some Pepto or something. That's just not going to...
So mean. So mean, y'all.
Well, you were talking about toots.
The title of Security Now yesterday is "I Know What You Did Last Summer." It's the end piece of it, and he talks about fingerprinting. It doesn't even need to be a cookie. For instance, when you load a page, the page in the background can load another page with sites on it, and can tell if you've been to those sites or not. They can actually read your internet history. And by doing so, it depends. The more sites you visit, the more accurately they can do this. But by doing so, they can uniquely identify you. So
here's interesting. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, that's fine. That's all.
So I just put up something on the rundown at the bottom under other. Alex Stamos linked to Kevin Munger, who linked to a new paper that found that politically targeted advertising basically doesn't do jack. and all the talk about micro-targeting, and it's going to change people's brains, and they're making a fortune, and da-da-da-da. And Alex is just joking that the salespeople at Google and Facebook are going to, shh, don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Because and Alex says the political advertising is a small part of the revenue, but if this goes to larger level micro-targeting advertising, what this study says is it doesn't actually do anything.
This is Steve was quoting a paper. That's kind of an interesting story. It was delivered at the 16th Usenix on usable privacy and security, and they duplicated a paper from 8 years ago. The paper from 2012 was called "Why Johnny Can't Browse in Peace on the Uniqueness of Web Browsing History Patterns." And this second paper said, well, we're going to go back and duplicate that methodology and see if it's gotten better or worse. And they identified 48,919 distinct browsing profiles, of which 99% are unique. High uniqueness holds even when histories are truncated to just 100 top sites. So basically, if they could just see the last 100 sites you visited, they can pick you out with 99% accuracy from 50,000 other people, I guess from an infinite number of other people, that you are absolutely unique. So, wow. Yeah, so that's really interesting. This is from 3 Mozilla researchers, why we can't still browse in peace. And this is why, do not track and third-party cookies and all of that stuff, just hand-waving at this point. Because modern browsers can get so much information about you in all sorts of sneaky ways, and they can clearly identify you.
But it may not do nearly as much good as the ad industry is trying to tell people.
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's the part of it that you referred to that doesn't work, which is this, this targeting. And I think that's probably because the back ends aren't very well done. Recommendation engines are notoriously awful. Look at Amazon. Look at Netflix. They just don't.
Well, is advertising? I'm sorry to say this is not a show supported by advertising, but especially when it gets down to that level, how effective is it?
Right.
I know you.
I don't know. I buy a lot of things.
Pretty good for me.
Yeah, Instagram ads, they work.
I use YouTube. I use YouTube quite a bit, and I'm always hitting like or dislike on things that I watch, because I watch YouTube as if I'm watching regular TV. And the recommendations for the last several years have just been a dream for me, because I've fed it. I've fed the algorithm. And it's not uncommon for me at the end of the day to go downstairs and turn on the TV and fire up YouTube and watch hours of random stand-up comics or something about photography or what. It knows what I like, and it does a good job.
Right.
That works.
Do you see ads?
The question is, do the ads
work?
Do they work?
The ads is another story, because I never see them. I paid
you pay
premium price.
Right. Where do you get sucked in, Stacey?
Oh, I get sucked in because I looked at something, like maybe right now I have a house, right? So I'm buying some crazy furniture or things like that. And being stalked, I'll be honest, by like a piece of furniture or a rug, you're like, oh, there it is again. It keeps it top of mind.
And you're in the market. You're a golden.
And I'm in the market. Yeah, I'm beautiful for these people. They love me. They're like, this woman has money to spend and floors to cover. Show her all the rugs.
And it wasn't hard for them to figure that out about you. They didn't have to do any secret manipulation of your history to know that you just bought a house. That's public record. And they know. They know what you're up to.
Just search for rugs.
And
I'm like Googling rugs. Although I will say, Google in my news section then recommends. What's frustrating is, like, Google right now, if I go through my news, it has stopped being so much about IoT and like quantum computing. And now it is like, mid-century core design elements, how to look for a rug.
Right.
Like.
Oh, yeah, they're smart. They know how to get to you. That's why I got off Instagram.
It's stupid.
Oh.
That's stupid because it's not advertising. It's assuming the things I'm searching for to buy are also things I'm interested in researching or knowing about from a content perspective. And they're two very different things. Right. But Google's just like, throw it all at you.
Yeah. I bet you in that content there are a few ads.
Probably.
Right. Isn't content...
Oh, yeah, they do. They have sponsored ones.
Yeah. Isn't content...
Somewhere. Sometimes.
It's just a Jell-O mold to hold the ads.
Yeah.
My stories are on there. No, and actually a lot of my... If I look down my news feed right now, I've got The Verge telling me about Amazon surveilling its flex delivery drivers. I've got The Guardian. Let's see, what else do I have? It's a stupid story. I have a story about what to plant in the fall because I Googled peonies the other day.
There you go.
Not something I really want to think about for the rest of my life.
Brought to you by your local garden store.
No, it's an apartment therapy though, so it's sponsor. It's like affiliated links.
Oh, okay.
And they do tell me that the best way to do it is not to go to my local garden store, but to go to these online stores that, sell their stuff. And why they happen to have some links for that.
Yeah.
Wave goodbye to your garden store. Yeah. Bye-bye, garden store.
Yeah.
But no, I'm going to my garden store. Those people are awesome. I love them.
I'm no security. I'm no security expert, but you were talking about how smart these modern browsers are nowadays, regardless of cookies. What can we do as consumers to sort of help protect ourselves? Other than VPN, is there anything?
No, VPN won't protect you.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I mean, is there anything?
So one of the techniques these browsers use,
traffic from the ISP, but that's about it.
As you know, when you click a link in a browser, that link is marked visited. It used to be in the old days of the internet, the link would be purple instead of blue. That most places.
God, I forget that.
I remember
that.
But that mark visited or not visited persists regardless of what color it is. So one trick that I think would completely have nothing to, you could use a VPN, it wouldn't matter, is they load a shadow page which you don't see, and then they can actually query the browser for which links have been visited. By doing that, they just grabbed your web history for however many sites they put on there, right? They said, oh, whoever this is, I don't know who it is, the IP address I don't recognize because you're on a VPN. But look at, of these 100 sites I just fired up, this person has visited 29 of them on these dates. Oh, that's Aunt Pruitt.
And he's interested in boots.
Oh, we know Aunt.
These damn boots.
Yeah, we showed him those boots last time. Let's show him again. He still hasn't bought them.
Or maybe he did. We don't know because
we don't know.
Stupid, but we're going to keep on showing him the boots.
Yeah.
For a long time even we run out of money.
From clearing your
do you want your commerce data shared with Google?
Why not?
Because that's how they would know if you bought the boots or not.
To an extent, yeah.
And to answer your question, Aunt, if you clear your history, no, they wouldn't see that. That's based on your history. But do you want to clear your history? I guess every time you could. Most browsers you could set it to do that.
Yeah, I clear it periodically.
Well, that'll help. You should probably clear it every time.
If you use a service like LastPass, clearing your cache actually is not as painful.
Right. Yeah, because at least you've got the passwords.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the biggest complaint I have whenever I clear my cache. I'm like, oh, there go all the passwords.
So I'm looking at Firefox. I can delete cookies and site data when Firefox is closed. I can check that box. The problem is, by the way, look how much cookies, site data, and cache on this system. 1.7 gigabytes.
Jeez, man.
And this system was rebuilt a few months ago. And I only use it for 3 shows a week. A
cookie is nothing. It's tiny.
No, they're saving a lot of stuff. That's the cache.
Oh, they're saving the cache. Cache.
So I could have that cleared every time, but I think basically that's like making your browser dumb every time.
That could be 3 ads.
Yeah, could be 3 ads, 1.7 gigs. I don't know. I'll clear that data right now, and I'll clear it. So cookies and site data is only 759 megabytes.
That's still a lot.
Only. Cached web content, it's 1 gigabyte. So it's actually very close. So I'm going to clear all of that. Now, my browser is like fresh and clean again, and every time I close it, it's going to do that. We'll see. I'll keep it that way for a while. We'll see if it makes it harder to... I don't think it'll affect me. Cookies might, but like, who uses cookies anymore, right? So Facebook, you mentioned this, and I dropped the ball. I apologize. Facebook, here it is, an update about changes to Facebook's services in Australia. Jeff, give us the background on this. This is Rupert Murdoch's
So the background
move.
is that there is Murdoch-backed legislation in Australia that would make Facebook et al. Negotiate with a gun to their head with publishers for the right to link to the content. And so this has happened in various other forms. In Germany, it's the Leistungsschutzrecht. In France, in Spain rather, the link tax. In the EU, Article 15
I need to
17.
get my shot glass. Hold up.
I was gonna say drink.
This is the light show.
Right.
So now
You're getting better, Stacey. You're getting better. You're getting closer by about 10 miles.
It's so hard.
So this is the publishers saying to the government, let us put our hands in Facebook's pocket. They took money from us because God gave us that money, and they should give it to us. Now, Murdoch is basically saying, give me government support, but no conservative politician is going to pay Murdoch. So what they're saying is, take the money from Facebook and give it to us. Because there's some so Facebook has said, and Google have said, no, we're sending you value, we're sending you audience, we're not going to do that, no. And Australia's been trying to act all tough. We're gonna find a way to get money anyway. So Facebook came out with a statement 2 days ago and said, if you do this, we are going to cut off anyone, media companies or users, from posting news to Facebook. Now, that's obviously a matter of negotiation in terms of what they're trying to do. They're trying to fire a shot against Australia's bow here. But you think about it, Facebook would probably be very happy without news. News causes trouble. News is controversy. They don't make any money on news. Fine. It could, be careful what you wish for, Murdoch et al. In the case of Murdoch, it's regulatory capture. Because let's say that Facebook does that. No more news of any sort on Facebook. Murdoch owns the big brands. The big brands are still going to be okay because they have name recognition. People will still go to them. But every little competitor of Murdoch's, every startup trying to compete with Murdoch, they're all screwed. So he's fine either way. He's happy. Right?
So here's what Facebook is threatening. In their post, assuming this draft code becomes law, we will reluctantly, stop allowing publishers and people in Australia from sharing local and international news on Facebook and Instagram. Boom.
Right. So this is why I wrote about this in the context of TikTok, because we have a First Amendment. To go to Stacey's earlier point, we have a First Amendment in our country, which has an impact. Australia doesn't. But it's a matter to me of freedom of expression and human rights, because the platform that people use to discuss public policy and to discuss government and to discuss what's going on and to share the news that is behind that, so one hopes they do it in an informed fashion, gets cut off from under them. It's a violation of their human rights. This is the people's press. And I had never really said it that way before, but it is. It's the first time in history that everyone has truly had access to a press, and now we see governments cutting it off. China was doing it already, but now the United States is doing it with TikTok, and Australia is doing it with Facebook. And Facebook is full well within its rights to say, okay, no news, just cats and party pics. That's it. That's all we got now. No news. Our life's going to be a lot easier, folks, mates. And
actually, Facebook might be a lot better.
They might be happier.
I might be a lot happier. I might go back to Facebook if they do this in the U.S. No more news. That'd be great. But unfortunately, what you're going to get is no more links to established provable news organizations, but lots of links to Russian troll farms.
Oh, right. They'll come in. They'll take advantage of this. Right. So anything we wanted to deal with misinformation.
Yeah.
Exactly, Ant. Exactly. But again, Murdoch is cynical and clever and is saying, I win either way. I make my political point. I try to get some money out of them. I get paid off. Because Facebook was saying, we are going to put Facebook News in in Australia, and we are going to pay publishers. And Facebook paid News Corp in the U.S. I sat in the event where literally a check was handed over from Mark Zuckerberg to Robert Thompson, the head of News Corp. And but Murdoch is making this bigger point. And what gets me too is that I'm angry at publishers, because if you think about it, I thought about this for this post too. Facebook started never being about news. It was about hookups and parties. Twitter never started being about news. It was about, where am I drinking right now? Google never started about news. People wanted news. They added that, right? In all of these cases, the users brought the news to it. The users said, oh, we want to use this thing on Facebook to share news. We want to use this Twitter thing to share what we witness out there and share news and talk about it. We want to search for news on Google. We want to share news and education and all kinds of stuff on YouTube. It was the users that brought this to us. Why? Because newspapers were too stuck in their ways to provide that functionality to share what people knew and talk about it and so on with their users. So they lost those people. And now they're acting as if God and Australia owe them money, and Facebook and Google owe them money back. No, it's their own damned fault. Sorry, end of rant.
Well, and it's concerning when you see stories like this. Russia's most notorious troll farm reportedly used deep fakes to push a fake news outlet on Facebook. And
Twitter, and they both got rid of it.
And Twitter, now both pulled them down. This was the Internet Research Agency we've all heard so much about.
They never left.
Yeah, but I have to say, okay, they pulled this one down. But if in absence of legitimate news sources, I suspect a lot of these...
they'll try every trick in the book to become the only place you get kind of news.
And it's going to get harder and harder because deep fakes are getting easier and easier. So
it's a cynical effort at protectionism by my own dear industry, and I hate them for it.
Yeah.
So that's the end of that. We can go on.
Rant. End of rant. All right, let's take another break. Changelog coming up, and then it's the silly season. We've got some silly stories. By the way, I have to say, I already am hating it that I deleted my history and cookies, because I just had to re-log into Google and re-log into Twitter and Didn't take long before I realized why I didn't want to do that.
Yep, and Google is just thinking, yes, we got him forever now. He'll never delete all
never
of the
delete his
data
cookies again. Ha ha. Well, fortunately, I use a YubiKey, so logging in isn't too hard, but it's, I got to do it.
Right.
I guess now, every time I close my browser, every time I start a show, I'm going to have to log into everything. That's not going to work.
But that was wasn't that the premise of cookies from the get-go?
That's what
was just to make it more
used for.
Better user experience.
Yeah.
Because the net was
dropping?
Stateless.
Is that Stacy?
Stacy.
I think they drilled through your internet connection. Yeah, she's frozen. Let's take a break. We'll figure this out. First, a word from our sponsor, Monday.com, a team management platform that lets teams plan, manage, and track work in one centralized place. You can collaborate with your teammates, track everything your team is working on wherever you are in any industry. Whether you work with a team of 5 or 5,000, Monday.com is the easiest way to keep everybody connected, on track. And with so many employees working from home these days, Monday.com is a project management platform that makes effective teamwork possible anywhere. I mean, one benefit is you'll keep all your team's work in one place without abandoning the tools you use. You still can use all the tools you've always used, like Google Sheets, that's what we use, any Google Docs, Zoom, Slack, email, calendars, everything. But it all gets automatically imported into the Monday.com interface. So I know where everybody on my team is, what they're doing, what the project they're working on, how far they've gotten. It brings your team together wherever you are. You can plan, track, and manage your business in one easy-to-use platform. You'll also improve coordination across teams, across departments, because it's so easy to track and manage work. That way, your team always knows who's doing what their deadlines are, what status it is, how far they've gotten so far. You'll keep everybody connected. And this is the key. I want to say this several times. It's a single source of truth. One page, your Monday.com page, it's a single source of truth. You won't need check-in meetings anymore. And if you do data-driven decisions, no more guessing. You have this single source of truth. All the information you need is in there. In whatever form you like, by the way. You like Gantt charts? They can do that. Timelines, Kanban boards. You can use tables. Monday.com has everything. They have remote-ready templates because they know people are working remotely nowadays, so you can get your team up to speed instantly. And they have great onboarding specialists like Eddie, the one we worked with. He helped us set up that podcast board. And by the way, they already had a podcast template, so it was very easy. No matter what business you're in, the templates are there. You can increase productivity and efficiency, facilitate transparency, improve collaboration. And there's even no-code automations, so you can put your team's workflow on autopilot. You don't have to manually enter data in. It just flows in there from their natural work. You got alerts. You have automatic status updates, project flows to keep your team on track and confident in their work. I think this is an amazing solution that works with the tools you're already using to give you a single source of truth, a place on the web you can go to, you can look, and you can say, here's where we are. Here's where we are this minute, right up to this minute. No wonder over 100,000 teams are already getting things done with Monday.com. They are amazing. Monday.com can take care of what slows you down, free you up to do the things you got into the business for in the first place. The stuff that really juices you up, makes you feel good. Not all this nitpicky little, what do you do? Meetings. You don't even need them to do them anymore. It's all there, right there in front of you. Change the way you work online. I'll tell you what. Don't take my word for it. We've got a free 2-week trial for you. Go to monday.com/twit. Monday.com/twit. You'll really be up and running in minutes, so you can really get a sense of it. And I have a feeling you're going to want to spend more and more time with it. You're going to just really love it. Monday.com/twit. Thank you, Monday.com, for your support of This Week in Google, helping us get the job done. I want to mention, we do, as you all know, we've done host-read ads. That's what they call these things, where I or our hosts, Micah, Jason Howell, will read an ad in the show. But some of our shows because of COVID have not been sold out. And maybe some of you have noticed, in fact, maybe some of you have been shocked because I'm getting some emails from people saying, hey, I was listening to Twig or one of our other shows, because we're doing it on a number of shows now. I was listening to Twig, and all of a sudden there was an ad for, another podcast in there. Who put that in there? That is something we're trying out. It's called direct ad insertion. We use a company, really, I think a good company called Megaphone, and they will sell ads and insert them. Some of them are host-read. They might be me doing those ads. Some of them are not. Some of them, are sponsors you've not heard before. So don't be shocked if you hear that. That's normal. It's one of the ways we're trying to keep the lights on during a difficult time, because, as I'm sure you know, times are tough right now. A lot of businesses are struggling. Advertising dollars off by, 30, 40%, a significant amount. I don't know exactly what it is. But so it's costing us a little bit of money, but we want to try to keep the lights on as best we can. So if you
think
hear
of it as a surprise.
It'll be just a surprise.
I wonder what ad I'm going to get this time. Maybe I should listen to the podcast again and again and again and see over 10 times what ads do I get. That'd be a lot of fun. Exactly. And it'd be good for Twit.
Right. Now, it will not be in the video versions. It's not in the live versions, obviously, because it's done after the fact. It's only in the audio versions of the show. We try to do it in such a way, and this is the trick for us, and I've been struggling with this a little bit, so that I indicate there's a pause here, but for those of you watching video, we continue on. It's not like, what happened? So, you'll see. After the changelog, I'll do another one. And you'll see, I'll say something like, coming up next, it's our picks of the week, pause, and now Stacy with
See, I don't think it's, I've been trying to talk this through. I think you can have another way, because when the coming up next sounds like it's coming up to a commercial, which you don't really have to say. Well, I can't wait to hear Stacy's picks. Pause. Stacy, what are your picks?
Okay.
Right? It works as a tease and
we're struggling with it.
Transitional statement.
Because it has to be enough of a transitional statement so that people don't go, whoa, I just got hit by an ad. Like I want to warn you.
Right, I know.
But I don't want to warn you. I don't want to confuse you if there's no ad. So I don't know what the answer is on this.
That's been my experience with other podcasts that I listen to that use a similar service. I don't know if they're particularly using Megaphone, but it would just be a jarring break with no
I don't want it to be that
transition or anything. At least you try to transition to it somewhere within the show, but not everybody's. Not everybody's as savvy as you are.
And I don't. Well, and obviously it's not working completely because I'm getting email in our Twit community. People are mentioning it, and they're like, What happened?
Leo, what the hell's going on?
A guy just posted. I thought I suddenly got another podcast playing, and partly that's because for 15 years the only ads you've heard on Twitter are me reading those ads. Right. So that's probably some of it. So that's why I'm even bringing it up. Otherwise, I wouldn't. But just to prepare you to understand that just like on network television or radio, where show's going along and then there's an ad that has nothing to do with the show or the host or anything, and then it comes back. That's how media was sold for years. We started with Twit doing something very different, which was every ad was kind of woven into the content, and the hosts read it. And I would like to keep doing it that way, but apparently it's.
Indeed.
It's not good enough for all of you. And we'll see. This is an experiment. If people really hate it, we can turn the lights off. I don't.
Then you could turn the lights off or put up a paywall.
Well, I don't think we'll ever do a paywall. Although, did you see? So, we used to have a young couple lives up the road a piece. Come in. They were on YouTube. They were a wonderful little group called Pamplemousse. They'd come in. They'd play music. I just really loved them. Jack Conte and his girlfriend. They were so good.
Now wife.
Wife. Did they get married? All right.
Oh yeah, they got married. Yeah.
And they were just adorable couple. And I loved their music. And they'd come and perform for us.
Yeah.
And then I heard that Jack, because he's a YouTube guy, and actually they did. I think the thing that was an epiphany for him is they did a concert tour. And they lost money like crazy.
He wrote a post about it. He didn't. I think he kind of like broke even within $1 or something. It was just clearly not worth it.
Yeah.
And everybody says this is how performers are going to make money now, not through selling records, but through touring. And he said, I'll give you the number. He was very transparent. He said, I'll give you all the numbers.
Yeah. It was a Medium post. Pamplemousse 2014 tour profits. They finished a 28-day tour, 24 shows, 23 cities. Natalie, his wife, who is just a wonderful singer, and he's performing.
She is.
She crowd surfed for the first time ever. We sold under $100,000 in tickets, 1,129 tickets in San Francisco at the Fillmore. I'll never forget that night for the rest of my life. One question fans repeatedly asked, what does it feel like to have made it as a band? Here's the van. There was expenses. So they paid the band week of salaries for musicians, tour budget. The tour ended up costing us. Now remember what they made on the tour, $100,000 in tickets. Tour ended up costing us $147,802. So it was, I think, an epiphany for Jack. He just, you know what? We are so thrilled. We loved seeing our fans. This is an amazing event, but it's no way to make a living.
They lost $11,818.
They lost $11,000. But boy, are they a great band. So Jack thought, well, what if I made it possible for bands and others to kind of raise money in another way? And he found a little thing you might have heard of. Might have heard of it, called Patreon.
Patreon? What's that?
Patreon just got its second round of funding. I don't know if they make money, actually, but I guess in this day and age, it doesn't matter if you make money. But they got their second round.
Not until a couple of years after you IPO.
Yeah. They are now worth $1.2 billion. So, yeah, they lost $11,000 on that tour. But it was an expensive education. But you know what? Credit to Jack and Natalie.
And Jack, this is killing me. This is killing me because I brought Jack to New York for an event on membership and news. And one of the people I brought is now the president of WNYC in New York, Goldie Sheikh Al-Islami. And so they met that way. And she's on his board. I wanted to be on his board. I can have some of that stock.
Yes,
well, congratulations.
But Jack's great because he wants to support creativity. That's what he cares about.
Yeah, and it's been a great success. So their second, or actually it's not second, it's their Series E funding of $90 million values them at $1.2 billion. They have raised for creators $2 billion, 6 million patrons. So, and many of our friends, as a matter of fact, are on Patreon. So well done, Jack. That's really great. That's really great.
And the great thing is they both still do music.
Yeah, Pamplemousse.
I think they go down. I think they're a studio. I think they kind of separated out. I think they live in San Francisco and their studios in LA or something like that. And they were separating out the two lives, but they still do that.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, they probably have a nice big mansion now. They used to live up the road.
See, now this is when they need to ask, what's it feel like to have made it? That's when you ask.
I mean, literally, they lived like they were our neighbors.
No one ever feels like they made it.
No, you can lose that money anytime, right?
So they've raised a total of $255 million to date.
Isn't that great?
It's good for them. Great? That's good stuff.
Yeah, a big success story, and
nice people.
It's so nice. I just love them. And
I first discovered them. They were on a Christmas, I think, Nissan commercial.
Oh.
And they were just this really cute couple with nice singing, and they were just fun at it. I wonder if you can find it online.
I'm sure I can. And I don't think Nissan.
Hyundai.
Well, that's good.
Like that Pamplemousse Deck the Halls Hyundai.
And I don't think Hyundai would mind if we play this, would they?
Carson's screaming right now, but fine. Scream, Carson, scream.
Take it down. What do we care? This is this. Now you'll know why everybody loves Jack and Natalie. They also made amazing videos, right?
Joy you feel this time of year.
Phenomenal.
Offering you a great deal on the 2011 Genesis is one of ours. Now, during Hyundai holidays, you can lease the 2011
So you'd
Genesis
never seen him when you saw this Genesis ad in 2010.
This is how I saw them. I said there was not this one exactly. It was another one.
Yeah.
But the music was good, and they were really cute and fun. And I just looked them up. And
let me play.
I'm always amused by people who act in commercials who are actually likable and good. And sometimes I look up and think, who is that person? And so I looked them up and found them. And I started following them long before.
We should try to get. I think we are trying to get them on one of the shows, or at least Jack, just to say congratulations. Here to give you a better idea, because one of the things that she's famous for is their covers. They do great covers. Here's a song you might know, a Pamplemousse cover from a few years ago. 3.2 million views on this. And that's Jack on the drums, piano. He does all the instruments. Natalie does the singing. She plays some instruments too, I think. And the thing is, they would do these out of their living room. I mean, this was done in the house.
Oh, yes. They would cut the heck out of them. Oh, my God.
Yeah, Jack told me the editing was hell.
Oh, man. He did one with like a robot.
Post is always the hard part.
Yeah, post is the worst. Yeah. I thought they were the next big thing. I actually was shocked that they didn't become huge. But that's maybe more about the music industry than anything else.
I think so.
Anyway,
I didn't know that news. That's good news for them.
Yeah, isn't that? Yeah. I know
this is last week's news, but this still made me think about Spotify and Joe Budden when you're talking about this story here with them being in the music industry and how much money they could have potentially made versus what they actually lost when it comes to all of the hidden fees and hidden costs and expenses that tend to show up. And last week on Tech News Weekly, we talked about Joe Budden, a pretty popular rapper from about 10 years ago who is big in the entertainment industry now with podcasting and so forth. But he learned a lot of lessons from being in music. And it pretty much has led to him saying, you know, we're done with Spotify being on their platform for our podcast exclusively, because I know what it takes and I know how much money is coming in. I understand my value. I understand the growth and all of that. And Spotify is just going to take us and rip us apart, and we're not going to own the content. And I mean, he's speaking at the heart of a creator, not necessarily as a business person.
Well,
okay.
Also, he says Spotify promised us bonuses when we got to a certain size, and he says, you know, his show exceeded Spotify's audience reach expectations by 900%, to the point that his listeners crashed the platform. And he says, but we never got a bonus. The company wouldn't allow him and his team to take vacation days on Christmas and New Year's. Joe, if you worked for us, you could take Christmas and New Year's off. Because that would have required them to miss 2 episodes of the podcast. The company did give them Rolexes. Joe, I'll give you a Timex. It's just the same. It's just the same. But then
it's even waterproof.
Then it was worse because Joe and his team picked out Rolexes, and Spotify said, no, those are too expensive. Then he said, well, Spotify, give money to our fans for Christmas instead of Rolexes, and Spotify said no. He said, this was the first time it dawned on me that Spotify is pillaging. You pillage the audience from the podcast, and you've continued to pillage each step of the way without any regard for the fans. I wonder how much money Spotify gave him up front. You know, the rumor is they gave Joe Rogan $100 million over several years to go exclusively, take his YouTube audience and his podcast audience exclusively to Spotify.
Don't they have Michelle Obama?
They have Michelle Obama, that's right.
But the details with Rogan was that he was so adamant about was Rogan is still going to own the art that they're creating. It's still going to be his. Spotify is not going to have all of it, you know. And I think that's the big piece that Joe Budden has been fighting. Is you know, they're doing all of this work and creating this content, and Spotify and Gimlet and those folks are like, if you leave, this is still ours, you know.
I'm going to defend, because we would assert the same thing. So if so it started with the Nod. Brittany Luce and Eric Eddings created the podcast for Gimlet. Mm-hmm. And then Gimlet was acquired by Spotify. And Brittany and Eric said, well, we built the show and the audience, but we don't own it. Well, I got to tell you, Ant, if you build a show and an audience on our network and then you decide to leave, you don't take the show with you unless we decide to let you. No, I get
that. That I get, because like if I ended up leaving Twit, I can't take hands-on photography with me.
No, we own it because we put a lot of money into it.
I don't own my rants. I thought I owned my rants.
And now,
I could take my rants with me.
To be fair, every single time that's happened, we've said, okay, go ahead. I haven't been happy about it. Chad Johnson did that great Minecraft OMG Craft podcast on our network, built a great YouTube audience. We built him a beautiful set and all that stuff. And at some point he said, I'm making a lot of money now. Can I just have it and do it my own? And any other company in the world would have said, no, we own the IP, the intellectual property to this. You made this as an employee. But we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on it. But I'm not that guy, so I said, no, go ahead. And he's doing great. He actually broke 1 million subscribers just the other day.
The difference there, though, is Joe Budden already had millions of fans.
The Nod didn't. Joe Budden did.
Right.
So I don't know. I know that happened with the Nod. I don't know what the deal was with Joe Budden. Did he say? I think he is taking it with him.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
They're cutting ties, but to be on that platform, there were some other things that he wanted to happen.
The company wanted him to read ads. He said no.
Yeah, he was like, no, I'm not reading ads.
Making it one of the only shows not to be monetized on the platform.
again,
there's a lot of people in the world
paying for the monthly Spotify subscription to not get ads when you pay for Spotify Premium, but you're still going to have ads inserted on those certain exclusive.
And on the free tier, you have ads because that's the only way they make money.
No, that's not cool.
Well, okay. There are a lot of creatives in the world who think, oh, you know, I mean, I've been on both sides. I mean, I've made all these shows. But, so I've been on both sides. But I've always known, 40 years in the business, that when you create as an employee, the company owns what you create. I don't own the screensavers. I don't own Call for Help. And I would never even have thought in my head, oh, I want to take that with me. You owe it to me. Or I'm never doing ads, because you understand it's a business.
Yeah.
I thought it was a fascinating story.
Now as a creator, I will say, like when GigaOM went away, suddenly I lost all of my what was it? All the IoT podcasts that Kevin and I had done on that one.
Ooh.
So when I moved
you were doing it for
Fortune,
you were doing it for GigaOM.
Yeah.
Oh.
We were.
Oh, I didn't know.
And it was called the GigaOM IoT podcast. So after that failed, about a week and a half or 2 weeks later, I was like, Kevin, do you want to start it up again? You know, and we still didn't know what we were going to do. And he's like, sure.
Thank you for that.
That's OM.
So yeah, we kept going.
And we've done that with other shows. When Scott Wilkinson, that show wasn't making a lot of money and we couldn't afford to do it anymore. I said, Scott, we'll give you the feed. We'll give you you have the name, whatever you want to do. If you want to do it. He went to a couple of publishers. Nobody else picked it up. We've done that almost every time. When Tom Merritt used to do a show for us. He wanted a lot of money. He hired an agent. That was a mistake, by the way. He hired an agent, and the agent said, I think he wanted to triple Tom's salary, and he wants to do less. And so we just didn't renew the contract. We couldn't come to terms. The guy said, no, you got to give him $350,000 a year. And I said, I don't make that kind of money. I'm sorry, I can't. So we didn't renew his contract, but we left on good terms, and he continued to do the Daily Tech News. He didn't get TNT, the name Tech News Today, because that was ours, and we continued to do that show. But he went and did the Daily Tech News show, and you've been on it. A lot of people.
You could have signed him to a non-compete, and you didn't.
We don't. I've never done that. Partly because non-compete. I know. I have signed non-competes in my lifetime, all of them unenforceable in California.
Yes.
But I've signed them many times. And I come from both sides of the track. But at the same time, I understand you can't, I'm not going to take the Call for Help show with me. It's not mine.
So I was going to say that when I went to Fortune, I actually offered them the show. And because they wanted to do podcasts, but they didn't want to do my show. So they were fine with me doing it, but they didn't want it. And then when they did want it, they decided they wanted it, but then they wanted to own the licensing. And I was like, oh, no, thank you.
Come to think of it.
That was just like a no-go for them.
The chat room is bringing up all these shows that we said, okay, fine, keep your show. I'm an idiot. What was I thinking? I just can't do that to somebody.
Well, we were going to do a show out of the school, right? And we tried to figure out how to do a twit-worthy show out of the school, and I couldn't. Which is to say, folks, it's hard. It's very hard.
That's the thing. I think a lot of talent doesn't really understand all of the money and time and effort we put into this stuff.
Oh yeah,
and so
it is. I mean. Oh, I was just like, and it's not enough to be talent. You have to also have the brain and add smarts too, which is tough to find in the same person.
Yeah. That's why, honestly, when OMG Craft, when Chad did so well with it, I was thrilled for him. I was really thrilled for him.
Yeah.
And it's great. We stopped doing the GizWiz with Dick DiBartolo, but I said, Dick, please take it, the feed, whatever you want. And he and Chad got together, and they still do that show. So I'm an idiot. No, but I understand Joe's point of view, but I also understand Spotify's point of view. And it sounds like, he refused to do ads, and it sounds like Spotify hasn't said, okay, Joe, well, we're going to keep the show. They've Spotify said they wanted to keep Budden on the platform. As Joe referenced in his show, we made him a considerable offer, one that was significantly larger, many times the value of the existing agreement, reflective of the current market and the size of his audience. Unfortunately, we couldn't come to terms, and we respect his wishes to find a new home for his show.
Yeah, I believe that the argument was the offer you're giving me right now is just not quite good enough, because I know what my trajectory is. Well, I could see what my trajectory is based on my past. You know, we're continuing to pick up steam, and we're going to continue to bring more to the table to the umbrella of Spotify. So, you know, he's saying, hey, give me a little more cash and we're in. And of course, they just couldn't meet up, you know. So I see it, just like you, I see it on both sides. I thought it was a good discussion. And
I'm not that fond of Joe doing it. He was the first to do an exclusive deal with Spotify. And I don't like these exclusive deals. I don't like what Joe Rogan's done either, because I think it's giving Spotify a huge amount of power. And what Spotify's trying to do is to kill RSS podcasting. And to make podcasting be something that lives on an application so they can gather more information about you. And we really don't, I don't think that's the right thing to do. So in a way, if Joe wants to leave, that's fine. He kind of made a deal that I didn't really support to begin with. Same thing with Rogan. I hope both of these guys cash in. And make
I think there's more about the capitalistic side of it too, though. Yeah. You know,
and maybe let's see what Joe Budden does. You know, thing is, he brought a name. He was a success going into it, right?
Right.
So that's what's
key here. It's not just some average person going into these negotiations. This is someone that has some sort of establishment with them.
But apparently did not have enough clout to convince Spotify.
Right.
So that's always.
I don't know who he is.
Yeah, I didn't know he was.
I'm not a big hip hop artist like I was umpteen years ago, but I knew of his name. I didn't listen to any of his music, but I also knew that he did a bunch of other different things beyond music, far as being in the community and just doing things in business.
And does something called calming rap, where it's very relaxed.
Lo-fi hip hop beats? No, seriously.
What the hell?
Were you a hip hop artist? Is that true?
No.
Oh,
never.
I was really excited by this whole. I'm like,
too.
My name
I've never been that cool.
Is Ant, and I'm here to say, I came to spit and not to play. I'd like to do my rap for you, like that, right?
That would be no, sir.
It's ASMR rap. It's a whole new thing. It's a new category. Yeah. Ant's sensual melodic rap, according to Chicken.
Right.
So I think it's interesting to watch this. When money comes into a business, podcasting never was worth anything. When money comes into a business, it changes, boy. Does it change? You watch this whole thing happen. And so Spotify has signed, Joe Rogan, Michelle Obama, Kim Kardashian. I mean, they're trying to build this exclusive thing. And they bought Gimlet. They've spent more than $500 million. And I'm just bitter because they didn't buy us. That's all. I'll be honest with you.
The truth comes out.
Audible is now trying to pump up its podcast now.
Yes.
You're right. When money comes in, it changes everything. And when it leaves, it changes everything.
Yeah. I'm waiting till it leaves. I'll be here to pick up the pieces. No, and that's interesting. Audible doesn't want any podcasts with ads. It makes sense because their books don't have ads either.
Right.
But that leaves us out because that's how we make money doing the show. And
Wait, so what else do podcasts do? Do they just have?
Well, some people are happy.
Is it like Patreon?
I'm just happy to be on Audible. Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
So you have to make. I mean, how do they feed their families?
That's the fundamental question.
Patreon and
I'm not in.
I guess.
Well, my friend Pete Dominic.
Because I'm not in this niche, but I do want to feed my family.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so my friend Pete Dominic, who was on Sirius, who's a stand-up comedian who does a political show, he did it on Sirius for a long time, built a channel for them basically. So he left Sirius and now he's in a shed. He's in a he shed in his backyard doing his podcast. It's going really well, and he's doing it mainly on Patreon. Yeah.
Good for him. That's awesome. I've thought, if advertising, I think when I retire, I'll do a Patreon podcast. I can't go to Patreon for shows that we've been giving away for free. You can't do that. Nobody.
You would get more support, fan support, than you're letting on.
I don't know.
I don't know about that.
I mean,
thanks for the vote of confidence, Ant.
Well, no, I mean, people are so fickle. People,
no, I know.
All right, so we put this show out along with all of our other gazillion shows we have on the network for free. We just insert our own personal ad reads into them here and there, and people will bitch and complain about some of those ad reads, even though they didn't pay a dime for the content.
No, and I think that a lot of people say, "Oh, I'd pay $5 a month," but when push comes to shove, I don't know if
they don't.
They do not pay.
Yeah, I don't.
This might,
and that's why it's going to be when I retire, so that it's not like, well, I have to make a certain amount of money. I just want to keep talking, and if it'd be nice if I could make a little money while I do it. People have been very generous with us. I have to say, we sold $250,000 worth of bricks to build the brick house. Somebody's reminded me of that. That was amazing. When we started, we asked for tips, and we were routinely doing $8,000 or $9,000 a month in tips, and not to mention 7 Bitcoin, which somewhere I will get it. And actually, I think it's now technically, I think Florence Ion owns my Bitcoin, but
that's right. That's right. She does.
She won it fair and square. Hey, by the way, we should mention, even though we have debated back and forth about whether TikTok and WeChat should be banned in the U.S., of course, as we know, Twitter and Facebook are banned in China. India has now added, they banned TikTok a while ago, a lot of Chinese apps. They have now added 118 apps to that list, including the game that is now taking Fortnite's place on iOS, PUBG Mobile. Banned. I didn't realize PUBG Mobile was owned by a Chinese company.
I didn't know that either.
Tencent. You've heard of them? They own PUBG Mobile. That's it was, according to many, the most popular game in India prior to the ban. So that is a government. Modi's government says, fine, who cares? We're banning it. TikTok, one of the most successful markets for TikTok was India until it was banned in June. So, do we want to be like India and just ban stuff we don't like? I don't think so.
No. Well, because I would argue we have a First Amendment.
Yeah. No, that's right. Let's, Well, I don't know. There are people who say, look how China's treating its Uyghur Muslim minority. That's a good reason not to have any Chinese commerce in this country, right?
Oh, if we apply they're jerks to some people argument to why we shouldn't have Chinese businesses here, we have got to clean our own house first.
Yeah.
We're putting kids in cages.
Yeah.
And we're shooting black men on the streets.
Yeah.
And
preach.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Those living in glass houses should refrain from casting boulders. Let's do. Did we talk about Neuralink last week?
No, we didn't.
All right.
No.
Elon Musk, who's read a lot of science fiction, as have I, wants to live in a world where you can jack in a mind-machine interface. You got a little thing in the back of your head. You just connect the computer and you're in the metaverse. And Neuralink is a company he's funded to the tune of $100 million to create this next-generation brain-machine interface. And ladies and gentlemen, would you put your head in that thing? Because that's what it involves. This is actually a concept. An automated surgeon that, it drills a little hole in your skull, just a little one, just a little quarter size.
He could drill holes in the ground. He could drill holes in your head.
Right.
The same skill.
It's the same boring machine.
It's like economists are doing epidemiology. It's not hard to pick up.
They place in your, so they take a little bit of the skull out. They'll put it back, promise. Take a little bit of the skull out, put like a cellophane-like membrane in there, and it has electrodes, 1,000 electrodes, the diameter of a quarter of the diameter of a human hair, very thin, and it plunges them into your brain at different depths and locations, avoiding, very important, avoiding the blood cells, because if you hit a blood cell, well, it makes a mess. So and the machine can do 6 threads with 192 electrodes every minute. So it's like a little sewing machine for your brain. So it takes a little whole thing, puts those in there, closes you up, and now you have Neuralink in there. And this is the best part. You pair it to your smartphone via Bluetooth.
Really?
Yeah.
Bluetooth?
Yeah. And now, let's be frank, this demo they didn't do it to humans, and they haven't even built this machine. They did it to a pig. Actually, they did it to a couple of pigs. They had, I'm not sure why they had 3. They had a control pig, they had the pig they did the surgery on, and then they just had some third pig just hanging around to keep everybody else company. Here is the Neuralink reading the pig's brain activity and predicting its limb motions ahead of time. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that mind-boggling?
Let me ask you.
Yes.
You asked if we would connect ourselves to this device.
Yes.
I'm not going to answer that.
You're going to put your head in there?
Answer it first. Would you do this in 2022 if this device existed?
No. But I would do it 10 years.
Okay.
I'll do it in 2030.
So you're saying give it time to mature.
Well, yeah, and also at that point I'll be so old that if it kills me, it's not the end of the world. Well, it's the end of my world. But I'd be like, okay, I'm going to take a chance.
You'd be like, oh, it's for science.
It's like if you asked me, will you go to Mars and there's no return trip? I'd do that now. I've lived a good life. I'll have some fun on Mars. And did we get Stacy back? We lost Stacy briefly. I think her internet is just really crapping out.
They're supposed to cut the windows, not the internet.
I've always wanted, I am not happy with the VR glasses, the VR helmet. I've always wanted to get in the metaverse. I want it to be so realistic that I think I'm there. If they told me that we could do that tomorrow, but you got to do this procedure, I probably would do it. Don't you? Wouldn't you like that?
On the other hand,
you won't be on Facebook, but you'll get your head drilled by Elon Musk. What the hell? Are you knocking futz?
That should be on my tombstone. He wouldn't be on Facebook, but he would let Elon Musk drill his brain.
Oh, I thought it was going to be, are you knucking futz? But I think that might be on the tombstone. Right?
Both of those, either one of those. So, Stacy, I'm glad we got you back because I think you probably, of all of us, have the best understanding of the brain-machine interface.
Well, Stacy's going to turn herself into an IoT.
Oh.
No, so I would never do this. Although I don't think the risk versus the reward here is compelling. And I say that because the ability to access information is going to become less valuable over time. And that's basically what this is giving you now. We all have, we all take a moment and keep our brain on Google. Like, how many times have you talked about that, right? So, or how, you're talking to someone and you're like, oh, what was the name of that? Okay. That's not where the value is going to come in. So that's one. So I think risk versus reward. I do think the process is interesting because deep neural stimulation is becoming such an interesting area in the medical world for things like Parkinson's treatment and migraine treatment. Actually, there's some potential there, but I really don't want it to come from Elon Musk, I guess. So those are the things that when I saw this, I was like, this could be really compelling, especially as a mechanism for delivering real healthcare into the brain.
Oh, yeah.
But
they're already, and by the way, quickly it was pointed out that Neuralink is not doing anything that a number of other research institutions are doing, and in many cases doing better and in a more advanced way. And that is exactly one of the benefits. They talk about a tetraplegic being able to type 40 words a minute just by thinking. And it's that kind of empowering technology that would be amazing. Not so much me thinking I'm on the beach in Portofino because I have a thing in my head.
You saw that the guy who had lost his arm and plugged a, I don't know, it was a Moog or a Raspberry Pi into the socket and made music.
Good.
Brain.
That's nice.
Right? You could do that.
So the BBC asked a number of scientists, the UK's Science Media Centre. They put out a press release quoting Professor Andrew Jackson, no relation, he's a professor of neural interfaces at Newcastle University. I don't think there was anything revolutionary in the presentation, he said, but they are working through engineering challenges of placing multiple electrodes into the brain. In terms of their technology, 1,024 channels is not that impressive these days. But the electronics to relay them wirelessly is state-of-the-art, and the robotic implantation is nice. The biggest challenge.
See, that's what I said.
Just like Stacey said.
I just don't have a British accent or a degree in.
It was nice. This is solid engineering, but mediocre neuroscience, some said. Elon Musk's, when asked, why isn't this peer-reviewed, said, that
takes time. And Silicon Valley people, they don't go for that.
And we had a control.
No. His answer was, I have no peer.
I have no peer. Who would review it?
I'm the third richest man on earth. How the hell did that happen?
Isn't that amazing, huh? Isn't that amazing? Scott Galloway's laughing.
We're crying.
The big dog.
Elon Musk responded with a tweet, of course. It's unfortunately common for many in academia to overweight the value of ideas and underweight bringing them to fruition. Good point. For example, the idea of going to the moon, the idea is trivial, but going to the moon is hard. So I don't know. He also said,
I'm with them on that. I got to give him credit for that because that's a fancy way of saying there's a whole lot of talkers and not a lot of doers.
Yeah. So Elon's doing something. Look, I do hope, I've always wanted something like this at some point. And you're right, Stacey, for accessibility, for empowering technology, this would be amazing. Imagine Stephen Hawking, instead of having to, type into some sort of interface, being able to communicate.
Oh, you played the Hawking card. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
all right.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be nice to be able to, go to the beach in my head. But and I do think this will happen eventually. So these are the first steps. We would have mocked a lot of the first steps in, personal computing. I have to say, Elon often oversells things. But that's Elon. I think I don't know. He's a great huckster, but he's also done some really good stuff. He is the third richest man in the world.
How the hell did that happen?
Stock splits, my friend. Stock splits.
It's funny money.
It is. It's just, it isn't.
Paper gains.
And, to Elon's credit, he took all the money he made in PayPal, which was his initial fortune, and sunk it into a crazy idea to do electric vehicles. He deserves whatever he gets, I think.
Credit deserved there.
Yeah. He's worth more than Zuckerberg, which is, wow. That's big money. $111 billion. But that's still almost just half what Jeff Bezos is worth.
Well, Jeff Bezos delivers a lot more than Elon Musk does.
Yeah.
I have a Tesla.
Literally.
I had a Tesla,
you're right. And it is literal. Jeff Bezos does literally deliver.
All right.
Well, actually, no.
Normally at this time of the show, we would do the change log, but now we're going to do the moral panic log. Because
I'm excited about some of the things on the changelog. Are we still going to do it?
Yes, of course we are.
Okay.
I was making a bad joke. Jeff has provided us with 5 fabulous stories on moral panic.
Just for you, Stacey.
We'll cover these quickly.
I like that. That's instead of the horns. That's what we need. We need Jeff's doing his what? Do it, Jeff.
Go what? Go what?
What? No, I need a more panic. What?
Stacy does, ooh, ooh, ooh. Jeff goes, what? Ant goes,
no, Jeff goes,
hey, I'm Ant Pruitt, and I'm here to say the time to come.
I go, where's my drink?
Where's my booze?
Yeah.
And I just go, what? Huh? Government public information advertising has been a staple of British life for many years.
Well, we didn't do the moral panic?
This is it.
Oh, okay.
The moral panic over misinformation.
Oh, okay, there we are.
Are you just, am I only supposed to read the headline?
Well, no. I'm happy to have you do as much as you want. Yes, please go.
The British government has a public awareness campaign called Don't Feed the Beast.
That's right. I forgot that. Yes, right.
All about online misinformation. I think that's good. Don't feed the beast. You don't like that?
This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs.
That's not so good.
Just say no.
Yeah. No, I think it's good. Don't feed the beast. It's a good idea. I like this.
Yeah, don't feed the trolls. Yes, I actually agree with that.
Yeah,
But still, they called it a moral panic. I just wanted that on the record.
Okay. Now, here from theconversation.com.
Which is an academic site. Let's be careful.
Faculty's scientific reasoning. In our most recent publication in the journal Conservation Biology, we examine an error of reasoning that props up...
I think they're Australian.
...the moral panic over cats.
No, they could be Irish.
Stop it! What is the moral panic over cats?
Well, because everybody was afraid that cats were killing all this wildlife.
Oh, they're killing the birds.
Taking down birds.
No, they're killing
right.
the
That's
birds.
the story. Right. That's everybody believed cats were these horrible beasts. Don't let them outside. They're ruining the environment. And these scientists say not so much.
Really?
There was a moral panic over cats.
Really?
Cats aren't that bad.
Wait, is that
shaky
peer-reviewed?
case
How many
against
people?
So does that mean we don't have to build our catio? We were going to build a catio, an enclosed patio, so the cats could go outside without getting any birds.
I'm going to need a drink.
Yes.
Wait a minute. I got to read this study. What, it says that cats don't kill birds?
Well, no, they kill birds, but there's this whole notion that they contribute to the conservation of endangered birds by prey, and so they just say no. There's documented cases of coexistence between cats and native prey species, and everything's okay. Just calm down. It's all about calming down.
All right. So I could still build the catio, though.
Yes, you could. I frankly did. You don't want the cat to run away, and so around here I got foxes, and the fox would kill the cat.
Right.
So I don't want that to happen.
We enjoy because we have.
Is that documented, or is that just like myth?
That foxes kill cats?
Coyotes and foxes will kill your small pets.
The dingo ate my baby.
What is the Reddit question? Who would win in a battle between 1,000? What is it? A horse-sized duck or 1,000 duck-sized horses? Who would win?
Oh yeah.
Who would win that battle between 1,000 horse-sized, duck-sized horses, or a single horse-sized duck? Is it 100? 100. Okay, let's make it fair.
Give me anything smaller than me.
100 duck-sized horses.
I think 100 ducks could even take on Ant. I'll be honest. They'll just quack at you.
It'll be a battle.
Fight words.
This is another moral panic. QAnon misdirects. I think this is true. Misdirects our attention away from the real threats to children. QAnon. One of the crazy parts of this is that Democratic leaders and Bill Gates are killing children to take a hormone from their blood that will keep them from aging. So part of QAnon is that Democrats are predators to children, and they're keeping them in the basement of this pizza parlor that doesn't have a basement, but who cares? And a number of people pointed this out. QAnon does nothing to protect children. They make no effort to protect children. That's not the point of QAnon.
Well, some guy came up to Washington with a gun ready to shoot up the pizza parlor, but yes, generally.
Yeah, essentially, it doesn't. So I think that's not moral panic. Well, it is. So
the QAnon
is moral panic. I see what you're saying.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's conspiracy theory and moral panic.
And it's the stranger danger thing, which for years kept kids from playing in the street because
people still have stranger danger fears.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, next moral panic.
Next moral panic. Concerns over kids' screen time is a modern moral panic, says study. Let them watch. Let them watch.
Jeff, did you just do a Google search for news of a moral panic?
I did.
Okay.
I started on one. I found one, and I thought, I'm doing this.
This is
This
data
is why he
from
should
the
have more sleep at night.
Early Childhood Longitudinal Study, an ongoing research project conducted by the U.S. Department of Education. It follows different cohorts of children from kindergarten to fifth grade with teacher assessments every year. They compared the cohorts, kids starting kindergarten in 1998, which would have been roughly our kids' age, Jeff, and another beginning kindergarten in 2010 to see if there are differences in social skills between this pre-internet kindergarten class and this right smack dab in the middle of the internet kindergarten class. The researchers found no difference in social skills between the 1998 and 2010 cohorts. They both displayed similar development from kindergarten to fifth grade. The only noticeable difference was a slight decrease in social skills for children with very frequent use of online gaming and social media. But even that was a pretty small effect.
Because they're geeks anyway, yeah.
Maybe that, which came first, the chicken or the screen time?
Exactly.
Yeah. So
then finally, there's a book, which I just finished, Sex and Social Media, by two academics, which is very good.
Is there sex in social media?
But it talks about the societies that can form in social media, people who have been told that they're deviant, and then can find themselves
other deviants online.
Well, yeah, and then there was a moral panic around sexting, which they go through. They have a whole chapter on how that was a moral panic.
Yeah. So was that a moral panic that really wasn't as problematic as?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
So it's great if you're interested in this stuff and interested in how society reacts to technology. It's a good book.
Yeah. Okay, that's our moral panic section.
That's our moral panic round. We need some music for this.
Ant's gonna do a rap, the moral panic rap. And now it's time. No,
Stacey's speechless.
It's laughing.
I'm just gonna. Yeah,
it's laughing.
I did it for you, Stacey. I did it for you. 5 moral panics. 5 of them. Count them.
I feel the panic. I'm going to disagree on some of the sex and social media, but that's cool. We're going to talk. Actually, my pick of the week involves this, so it'll be a fun thing.
Wow, this is a sexy show.
Plus, I haven't read the book. So
this is ANT and the place to be. Watch your social media because you don't want to see the P or the V on the line that's with me. And that. Okay, sorry about that, Ant.
Why?
Crap.
Why? Wow. That was pretty impressive, don't you think? Huh? For a dork? Yeah.
Stacey's head is in her hand. She's going.
My gin and tonic is
octave was a little
route,
too high.
guys.
That's
all I've got to say.
Too high.
Tonic. Oh, please give me a gin. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Google Changelog.
The Google Changelog.
So funny.
The Google Doodle is now double drums, man, double drums. The Google Doodle is now crossing over into the Android Google Doodle, and it's.
So I don't know if that's in the story or not, but I noticed that this Google Doodle.
It's everywhere.
When I went my Android page, it was popping up in the search bar on the bottom of my screen, which was kind of neat.
I think that's
but
the new
surprising.
thing. I think that's the new thing.
I had not seen that before.
And this was to honor Jackie, I don't know if it's Ormez. She is a black cartoonist and activist who challenged the disparaging portrayals of black characters in media in the 1940s. I saw it and I thought, what is this? Because you'd click it and it would go on and on. It was a long bar. It was a comic strip slideshow created to celebrate Jackie Ormez. And it was a really cool Google Doodle. So that was yesterday, and I think it's gone now, unfortunately.
That is it.
But there's a Google Doodle site you can go to that has all the Google Doodles ever. Google Maps now shows traffic lights at intersections. I don't think that's new. I think that started doing that a couple of weeks ago.
They were working that out, but now it's up.
Oh, wait a minute. I can't go to this site. It uses cookies. Oh, you know what? Oh, no, wait a minute. I've been to Ars Technica many times. I probably clicked this months ago, but because I deleted all my cookies, now I'm going to see every one of these.
That'll show you moral
cookies.
panicker you.
What happens if you click "Do not sell my personal info"?
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Click it and see.
Nobody wants
You're in California.
Yeah, I'm in California. That's why I saw that. So now you can see traffic lights, a tiny little teeny weeny. See, there it is, this little teeny weeny. Hardly can see a traffic light at the intersection. You know, that's going to be not useful so much for human drivers, but for autonomous vehicles, self-driving vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But if the autonomous vehicles have the sensors, shouldn't they be able to see?
Anyway, well, they have to have sensors because it's not sufficient to know there's a light there. You have to. But,
you know how we were talking about real-time auctions behind the scenes?
Yeah.
Imagine your autonomous car performing the same calculations to find, traffic signals, which ones are fast or which ones are red, which ones are green, which are anticipated to be that at that time to give you the fastest route.
Right. So this is a wider rollout. We talked about this earlier, but it's now maybe coming to the maps near you. Google Assistant's daily snapshot feature gets birthday reminders and recipe recommendations.
So it won't just tell you what's on your calendar. It will also tell you what you want to eat today because Google knows best.
I actually hate birthday reminders because
I do too. I despise it.
Yeah.
When Mark Zuckerberg turns 60, he's going to regret all those years of making people feel old.
Well, it's also.
I like birthday reminders.
Of course you
They're
do.
helpful.
You're young.
I was going to say
you're young
because I don't ever remember them.
My problem is I have more than 1,500 people in my address book, so I get reminders of people I don't really care about.
I don't get that.
Oh, I don't put their addresses in though, or I'm sorry, their
birthdays
in.
Well, that's the problem. Nowadays, you don't have to because these
Google's
calendars, they look it up, they go searching for it. I never knew these people's birthdays, but somehow Google does.
The ones that I get I actively put them on the calendar however many years ago and told it to remind me each year.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily contacts either. So I don't know. Maybe that's why I see it a little bit more useful.
I may be, maybe I'm doing it wrong, but I feel like
you just putting all your data out there.
Like today is
you enabled surveillance mode.
Today is Stephanie Gamberg's birthday. Stephanie Gamberg. Karsten, you might remember her. She was a floor director at Tech TV 20 years ago.
Well,
happy birthday, Stephanie. You know where it got this data? Facebook. At one point, because it has her Facebook page on here. So at one point, I don't even have her phone number, just her birthday and her Facebook page. So
I always knew who my real friends were with those birthday announcements back when I did have a Facebook account.
Right.
I had a fake birthday in there for myself, and I would randomly get these little notifications of happy birthday from so-and-so back home. And I'm like, if you were my friend, you'd know this isn't my birthday.
Anil Dash's 45th birthday will be on Saturday. Jeff, we know him.
45. Wow.
45.
I thought he caught up to me by now.
I don't think he's that young. I think that's the other thing. People lie on Facebook.
Yeah.
Jason Howell's birthday is coming up September 11th, if this isn't a mistake. Kevin Marks' birthday is on Sunday, September 13th. So some of these people I care about.
But you're not going to do anything.
Oh my gosh, back to the changelog. There's exciting stuff on this one.
Updated assistant snapshot will now make recommendations. That one?
We just did that one.
Oh, okay. That's still
That's what we just
as
did.
unexciting as it was moments ago.
It was
So
not
memorable.
exciting. Yeah. It wasn't worth remembering a minute ago.
Kids Space aims to make Android tablets more kid-friendly.
As if anybody uses Android tablets.
Well, but
Android
I think
tablets out there?
I think because of schools and Zoom, a lot of inexpensive Android tablets have been sold, right? Because, in fact,
And
I
you
know
can't
they
get a Chromebook, by the way.
Yeah.
For kids.
Yeah. And you don't,
They're
maybe an iPad's
sold
too
out.
expensive, but you get a $150 Android tablet. It'll do Zoom just fine. So this is going to come out on the Lenovo Tab M10 HD Gen 2 and more devices in the future. There's already, Amazon already does this with its Fire. In fact, they have a Fire tablet that is guaranteed if the kid breaks it in the first year, they'll replace it. It comes in a big hard rubber frame.
I can't figure out what's exciting Stacy and the rest of the changelog.
So it wasn't that?
You gotta let us know with an ooh.
Was it that?
I will tell you when you get there.
Okay.
Get there, man. Get there.
So you may remember we talked a long time about the privacy implications of the Apple-Google API for COVID tracing. As of the latest version of iOS and soon the latest version of Android, you won't need an app anymore to use the COVID tracing API. State health agencies can use the information without creating a customized app. You'll be able to go in to the app and enable it. So up to now, if you went to the app, it says you don't have an app. If you went to the settings, it would say you don't have an app to do this, so you can't enable it. But you will be able to enable notifications for COVID exposure. Partly because
it never made any sense. They were going to have every city was going to have their own app.
Yeah, nobody's doing
every
it.
health department was going to have their own app. It made no sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was every state. Only 6 states have actually built one so far. I think 25 are trying to make it happen.
Yeah.
So it does make sense. But the downside is you trade off data. So this is a very realistic version of your ease of use versus privacy, convenience versus security.
So the Washington Post, writing about this, had 35 of their staffers download the Virginia COVID-Wise app, which launched last month. In a week of using it, 0 received an exposure notification.
Nobody knows about it. Yeah, nobody has the app.
Yeah. So
it was
yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the problem. Yeah. Nobody's using it. Nobody wants to use it. But anyway,
let's encourage people to use it.
Yeah, I'll turn it on. I'll turn it on. You know, I don't know what you're going to do with it if you're notified. You then quarantine for 2 weeks, right? What do you do? Would you suggest I do that?
I think when notified, the health department follows up with you and tells you what to do.
Yeah, quarantine.
Well, maybe, or maybe they give you a test. Or
they should
test
you. I don't know. Do we have tests?
That's a good question.
Do tests
exist?
Depends on where you are.
If you're at the White House, you can get tested.
If you're a college football player, you can get tested.
Yeah.
Okay, this is coming up on the story.
Oh, we're getting there.
Oh, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Oh, I know why. She loves undersea cables.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, there's an undersea cable. Oh, there is an undersea cable. That's not it.
So
next story.
Google and Facebook were going to have their undersea cable terminate in Hong Kong, but now, there's this whole thing about China. And so now they're going to have it terminate, I think, in Malaysia instead.
And Taiwan.
Which
will just piss off China, which is probably part of why Trump is making this happen.
This is the Pacific Light Cable Network.
It sounds like a 70s band, ELO.
That's a good name for a 70s band. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
Okay, this is the story I'm excited about.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, starting in Austin, Texas,
let's hear it, please.
Former home, you can now pay for parking directly from Google Maps.
That's awesome.
It is.
I mean, let me just say that parking, every time I'm parking someplace, like Seattle has like 2 or 3 different places.
It's so annoying.
The apps that do park. So you're like, I got to download an app.
You're standing there.
Why am I standing here?
Ugh.
Yep.
Lisa says, what's going on? Why are you standing there? I'm downloading the app so I could pay for parking. But you've been standing there for 10 minutes. Well, I know. It's still coming in.
And then you have I have like
credit
5
card number
parking
in
apps.
That's so annoying.
Yes. And it's not safe. That's what drives me absolutely buggy about this. I am standing in a parking lot, focused on my phone with my wallet out.
Right.
It is so
dangerous.
Didn't think about it like that. Wow.
That's because you're a man, probably. Yeah. But I train myself never to be focused on anything in a parking lot.
I don't think Ant would ever get mugged. I don't care. I don't care if he's waving $100 bills in the air.
Don't tempt fate.
People get groggy and like to try people like me.
He has biceps the size of a redwood.
I've never having been a fit or in any way strong person. I didn't know this. So if you walk around looking, big and strong, people like Popeye, they go, okay, come on.
There's always a jackass that thinks he's the bigger, better man, if you will.
Stupid.
You see it a lot with
they just take pity on
like
Leo
that.
and me.
There's that
they just dumpy sack of
sand in my
salt
face.
water.
Say, give me your money.
My mother used to fear for me quite a bit whenever I would travel because she knew
makes sense. Yeah,
how people were.
Yeah.
It's just like, when you're out in the streets or whatever, just try to be careful because people will just want to get froggy and want to try you and see how tough you are.
Take you on. Yeah. So you should do like I do and wear a shapeless muumuu. People just think you're fat. They won't know. So this is cool, but it is limited. It's I guess is Passport the company that does parking in Austin? That's who they've partnered with. iOS or Android. So. Or you can go to pay.google.com/parking on the mobile web. It will remember your car information. It will remember
remember where you parked your car, which is nice.
Nice. Payment information.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm betting, here's the cool stuff, right? Imagine this, take it fast forward like 2 years. Google now knows that I am parked in a spot, right? So when I leave or my time runs out, it can send notifications and it can assume that spot is empty, which it can help update its own parking data. So that's data that could eventually
wouldn't that be cool?
Now, if Google really cared about us, it would say Stacy paid for 2 hours, but she only used 1 hour and 15, and all you need is 10 minutes, Jeff. Free spot.
I mean, I guess it could because it knows the location of my as it drives off. But maybe if I have to click on it and be like,
that'd be
if I really cared about us, it'd be like, you were only here for an hour of your 2. You want your money back?
Or just, would you like to donate to the next person? That'd be cool. So here's what it looks like. It's in Google Pay. Pay for street parking with Google Pay. Start a new session. It'll ask you for the zone number. Now, this is, you got to have a zone number. I'll say 1, 2, 3. And apparently I'm going to be able
Leo's about to spend $10 for parking.
This parking zone does
in
not
Austin
exist. It was probably some larger number. Yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't like it. I wish it did.
Wait! I got a zone map coming up. I got a zone map. Street parking, Austin government.
Oh, I can tell you where to go.
Meanwhile, back in the real world,
every week, Stacey.
Lenovo has unveiled a Google Assistant-powered smart clock. Lenovo did those smart screens. This is nice. It's got that Google fabric.
But it's just a clock.
Well,
no, it's not.
It's a smart clock.
It's a smart speaker and a clock.
Yeah. It does.
But, and instead of an LCD, it's using LEDs, so it's cheaper. But, and here's what we talked about on my show, because these clocks are very important to me. I have a Sony Dream Machine from
oh my God.
Wow. You have
when
those?
I was in high school.
That was the square one. It's like a cube, right?
No, it's actually, mine's old. It's rectangular.
Like that?
Rectangular.
Oh.
Rectangular. But I'm frustrated because I don't know how low you can dim the LEDs, and I would love for them to have used red LEDs because that's softer at night.
Keep you up.
Totally could have done it.
Yeah. So
come on, Lenovo.
This is an update to their previous smart clock. This is called the Smart Clock Essential. It's less. It's about $30 less, which is nice. It will hit the shelves sometime this month. And it doesn't, see, I kind of like the Nest Hub Mini, which doesn't have a camera, so it's appropriate for the bedroom because it has a picture screen, but it also shows me the time if I want just time, and I can talk to it. The best thing about the Google alarms is you can yell stop, and it'll stop. You don't have to wait. You don't have to say, hey, anybody or anything. You just say, stop. It's very satisfying.
It is nice.
Yeah.
I do that all the time.
Yeah. The timers work that way too. Finally, Google is adding local news to your Assistant's audio. So, see, I'm getting that cookie announcement everywhere. Last fall they launched their smart audio news playlist. But now your news update is coming to Google Podcasts. So if you're a podcast listener, you can open the podcast app, navigate to the Explore tab, and subscribe to your news update. You'll get a mix of short news stories chosen in the moment based on your interest. I guess it's kind of like Google News, but just for audio. and it knows your location as well. So you will hear about. So, for instance, they give an example. If you're a music fan living in Los Angeles, you might hear a local story about the governor's latest announcement, then a review of the latest Katy Perry album, although I do want to know what Katy Perry's up to these days, followed by a deep dive of the upcoming election. So this is Google trying to understand audio news like it understands text news and giving you something you want to hear. I'm going to turn that on. I think that sounds like a good feature. That's available in the Google Podcasts app. And I presume if you've got that turned on, you could also do it on your Google Assistant. If you said, what is it? Hey, Google, play local news, or hey, Google, play news about Petaluma. Unfortunately, they're still doing some of that text-to-speech stuff, which I really don't like. It's too robotic.
It'll get better.
And that is the Google Changelog. I got one story before we move on I really want to do, because I just want to play this audio. So apparently, let me find the audio. This happened the other day at LAX. Pilot flying. Let me jump ahead. This is a report from a local.
An American Airlines pilot reports, quote, a guy in a jetpack. A second pilot, believed to be a SkyWest flight, confirms a third pilot was on the lookout.
We just saw the guy pass by us jetpack. JetBlue 23, use caution. Person in a jetpack reported 300 yards south of the LA final at about 3,000 feet, 10 miles.
A guy flying roughly the speed of a jet airplane at 3,000 feet. Here's the.
So we just passed a guy in a jetpack. American 1997, okay, thank you. Were they up to your left side or right side? Off the left side, maybe 300 yards or so, about our altitude. Okay, American 1997.
A guy in a jetpack.
It's Elon Musk. Of course it's Elon Musk.
In LAX. Of course, this is from Fox 11 in LA, and a number of experts came on saying how dangerous that is, not only for the guy who could be sucked right into the engines, but for the passengers and the airplane itself.
Well, plus at that, he's got to be wearing oxygen at 3,000 feet, don't you?
No.
No? 3,000 feet? Okay.
No. Have you never climbed a mountain?
Oh.
Have you never walked up a hill? You can.
No.
I can tell you that I did a hike this last weekend that had a 3,000. Actually, it was 3,900 elevation gain.
Oh, okay.
So.
Have you never been to Lake Tahoe? It's at 5,000 feet.
I was out of breath though.
Oh yeah.
Completely different.
Oh yeah. It's a little harder to breathe. Yeah. So at least two pilots saw it.
Can I just take a moment and say that everybody handled that with such aplomb?
Don't you love these guys? They're so jetpack. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
I love ATC.
I'm sorry. Is that on the right side or the left side? I'm just like,
I love ATC.
Didn't you hear what I said? It's in a jetpack. This is the funniest thing.
300 yards.
I gotta play it one more time. This. Here we go. Let me just scroll back a little bit. Again.
Tower, American 1997. We just passed a guy in a jetpack. American 1997. Okay, thank you. Were they up to your left side or right side? Off the left side, maybe 300 yards or so, about our altitude. Okay, American 1997.
So I guess you don't show up on the radar if you're in a jetpack.
Clearly, unless he had his cell phone with him.
All the passengers are going to show up on his COVID tracking app.
Oh, that's right. Good point.
Nah, 300 feet is the Bluetooth limit. Sorry, Jeff.
All right. Now, this is where we're going to insert an ad unless there is no ad or you're watching on video or the live stream.
Well, that was a really smooth insert there, Leo.
I think that was lovely. You know, you could just be like, and now is the time when we may or may not insert an ad.
I can just do that, right? There's nothing wrong with that.
Permitting.
Yeah,
you can.
And now a word from an advertiser
that I had nothing to do with.
At this time, we would like to play you this important message, or not.
Unless, or not.
It's like, that's going to not go down well if it's a gambling site.
And we're back. It was easy. That was painless. Let us start with Stacey's Thing of the Week.
So y'all are going to get mad at me, but I did actually just order a whole bunch of things. So I've got things for y'all coming. And I will make a note of this one thing. It's not out yet, but LifeX just announced LifeX Clean, which is a light bulb with HEV lighting that says it will clean your counters, things that the light hits, everything the light touches.
But it won't hurt you?
Right. It is capable of, it's safe for people, but capable of killing germs such as E. coli and Streptococcus.
Do I insert it in my body?
Oh, you should.
Do not insert it into your body. But you can open your mouth really wide and it only does this when it turns on for a certain amount of time, and then it puts a white light. So this might be something you put in your bathroom to kill your fecal plume off your toothbrush.
Know about the yes.
Or you could stick it on your kitchen counters. It doesn't say that it kills listeria or salmonella, but there's E. coli is still bad.
Not yet on the LifeX website, but
it's going to cost $70.
Yikes.
They just announced it today.
Are these? I mean, these are fairly expensive LED bulbs. Are they good?
The LifeX bulbs are actually really good. They used to be, before Philips Hue upped its game, they used to be brighter and better colors.
Oh, okay.
The reason they're more expensive is because you don't need a hub. They're Wi-Fi.
Oh, I like that. That's right. They have built-in Wi-Fi, yeah.
They're also, what is it? No hub. I like the colors. They actually do a really nice turquoise, which is a tough color to do. And they're a little bit brighter than Philips Hue. But they are expensive. They're like $50 a bulb.
Yeah. And a lot of them are sold out, which is a little...
Yes, and this doesn't go on sale until October.
Okay.
I'm just going to tell you that.
So you would get this, if you didn't want to kill your fecal plume, you might also get this for the kitchen?
Sure. I'm probably not going to get this.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
But if I were going to get it, it would go smack into the bathroom.
Yeah.
Right underneath.
No, actually, that makes a lot of sense. If it works. I mean,
works.
I feels like
there is a lot of research on these lights, and
we know UVC will kill bacteria, but it's also harmful to humans. So,
yeah, I think the question is, how long does it need to be on? How close does it need to be? What percentage of the germs?
Right.
And those are a lot of variables. And how well does that work in the real world? I mean, even the wipey wipes, if you look at them closely, you need to have them like for a certain number of minutes to be on the counter.
You have to let it be wet for half a minute or a minute. Yeah.
So,
By the way, you cannot get wipes to save your soul. You just can't.
I've been waiting for 6 months to get hand sanitizer. This is the one I use, which is, it smells like coconut and lemon. It's really good. It's for everyone, for everybody. And they've been out of stock for 6 months, and I just got a 6 of them. I couldn't believe it.
Wow!
So I'm willing to sell these for a mere $100 each.
Hand sanitizer is coming back in, but wipes, bleach, alcohol, can't buy alcohol anywhere.
Yeah. Wow.
I have alcohol right here.
You did get a drink.
A real gin and tonic. What kind of gin are you drinking today?
Someone get that, Jeff.
I think it's a local gin or a Portland gin.
I know that you're a great ginophile, if that's a word.
I do love a good gin.
Yeah.
I
knew the moral panics would lead her to drink. I knew it.
Yeah, it worked. Okay, but my other thing that I'm really, I gave you a thing because I feel bad about, I keep not recommending you things, but this is really important, and I'm reading it, and I will really encourage everyone, especially who has sons, to read it. Because I think it's really important. There's a book called Boys and Sex. It's by Peggy Orenstein, who did the book Girls and Sex.
Oh,
and this was a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I think I recommended it here, but it talked about, how our kids are, the messages they get and how it really hurts them in a lot of ways. And her first book was all about how it hurts girls, and she was done. She's always done girls. But after that, she realized that it's impossible to talk about like coercion and the pressures that girls face without also saying, without also recognizing that boys play a huge part in this. So she went and talked to, I think, over 200 boys in college and high school.
Wow.
To get their opinions and thoughts about it's their sexual history, it's what they've learned from people. And she backs this all up with both her research and then actual research from, social scientists and that sort of thing. And the book breaks my heart because, and I know this, I have nephews, I don't have sons, I do have a daughter. They're not getting, no one's talking to them at all about sex and feelings, and they have no expectations around their emotions. And it really, yes, it can make them behave like entitled jerks, but it also, it's like they don't have any other options. And it really drives that home, and it offers some really concrete things. And I really think if you have kids, you should read this. And if you have sons, you should read it so you can actually talk to them. Because if you don't talk to them about these issues, you're setting them up to be basically incomplete humans, in the sense that they don't know how to engage with people in a intimate manner, both sexually really and emotionally.
This is something parents are really struggling with right now, I think.
Yes.
And it's a challenge, because these kids are growing up in a world with a lot more information and a lot more exposure to sex than we ever had. And it's hard to know how it's affecting them, and it's hard to know how to talk to them about it.
Girls are speaking up, thank God. And some of these boys have had their own like Me Too moments where they realized, but at the time they didn't realize they were they didn't realize they were literally destroying some young woman's life.
Right.
And they didn't do it out of malice.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that hurts me.
Because
imagine these kids when 10 years later they come to realize that time they might have really destroyed some. I mean, most people don't want to be that person.
Right.
So anyway, I'm clearly speaking to you from the heart, but y'all should read this. It's good.
I'm ordering it right now because we have a 17-year-old at home, and I think it's important, and it's challenging.
Thank you for the recommendation.
Yeah, good recommendation. It's called, I don't think we've actually said the name. It's Boys and Sex, Young Men on Hookups, Love, Porn, Consent, and Navigating the New Masculinity. And it's by Peggy Orenstein.
And if you don't think you need to read it, you should read her first one on girls and sex, because then you will be like, oh, crap, now I got to read about boys and sex, because that's like the why you should care, even if you didn't care before. But you should care.
It's damaging.
It's your kid.
It's damaging to women, and I think that's very sensitive of you to know that it's not the boys being malicious necessarily. I mean, it could be in some cases, but sometimes it's just ignorance, and especially if they've seen a lot of porn and they've kind of been influenced by the sexualization and modern media, and they just don't know. They just don't know any better. That's good. Help your parents.
Anyway.
Thank you for that recommendation. Aunt Pruitt. Well, actually, I'm going to save you, Aunt, for the end, because what you have is so important that I want to give you a little more time. How about you, Jeff? Your number of the week.
It should be 11 because I've now been on Zoom for 11 hours.
You poor guy. Oh, my God. Oh,
11
my God.
I can send you a gin and tonic.
I need it. Oh, I need it. Let's see here. I'll do this one.
Okay.
The price of a gig in data worldwide, an interactive map. So if you look at it, here I'm pulling it up right now.
I'm going to get it here too, yeah.
So a gig in India, is it India? No, it's not India. No, I can't do it. See, I have 11 hours. I've screwed this up.
All right, I'll say a gig in Greenland.
There you go.
The average price is $9.56. The least expensive, $5. The most expensive, $36.22. How about, let's try Japan.
Well, go to India. It's ranked number 1. It has an average price of 9 cents.
Oh, it's funny. Okay, so even though it's not colored, there is information there. That's the least expensive. I see. So the darker the color, the more expensive it is. Right. So India,
so the average price in the U.S. is $8.
The U.S. $8. Japan,
cheapest in the U.S. is $2.20. Cheapest in India is 2 cents.
See, and I've always thought, for instance, Sweden had the best prices, and it's $2. Finland is $2. Norway is $5. Great Britain, $1.39. This is very interesting. What an interesting map. Mm-hmm. So they've actually gone out and now are they all cellular carriers, or is it? Yeah, they're okay. So this is mobile data. So that's important.
This is mobile data.
I think mobile data is more expensive than landline. Canada is more expensive than the U.S.
That's because Canada is not a competitive market at all.
At all, right. Average price in Canada is $12.55. Australia, wow. Also, I would say not a competitive market, but 68 cents.
Russia, 52 cents.
Wow, interesting. Yes, this tells you more about the state of the mobile economy. Brazil is $1, but Peru is $2. Interesting.
Yeah, so that was fun.
Yeah. Mexico, $4.77 compared to $8, the average price in the U.S. of a gigabyte of data. Actually, $8 seems low. I don't know anywhere you can get a gigabyte of mobile data for less than 10. Right.
Most expensive in the U.S. is $60.
Well, so the challenge in calculating these, our data plans are really spectacular at being incredibly complicated to parse out. So
True that.
But like Google Fi, it's $10 a gigabyte, right? I think it is.
But you get a certain amount before
the
overage.
No.
You don't?
No.
Ew.
But our sponsor, Mint Mobile, I get 12 gigabytes a month for $25, so it's just about $2 a gigabyte. So honestly, there is a broad range. Is Google? Yeah, it's $10 a gigabyte. It is. Huh. Yeah. Good numbers, Jeff. You gave us a lot of numbers.
Well, the other one that's worth mentioning, even though I'm 11 hours into this, is that more than 2/3 of executives plan to downsize their office space.
Yeah.
So don't buy any REITs.
No, I agree. And that WeWork stock you thought you were going to really cash in on.
Yeah.
You should have traded it in for Wayfair. And you have the mask of the week. I like this. I want it. It's called the Humanity Shield. Not cheap. It's $59.60. It's a face shield, but
it's kind of a nun's. What do you call those nuns things?
It's got a habit.
A cowl.
Yeah. So you're still breathing when the air is coming in. It's not coming from in front of you, obviously. It's coming through the back and the fabric. It's really interesting.
Wow.
So
wait, is there supposed to be is there supposed to be a plastic shield in front of his face?
Yes, if you go to the side view, you can see it.
You can't really see it.
Okay. I was like, I don't understand.
Yeah, I know. I had the same reaction.
Yeah. They made it too clear. They really should have.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, this seems like the least effective mask ever.
It's got a big hole in the front. That's really interesting. And this is where people can see your face. They can see you talking. Medical grade filtering barrier. I'll have to read more about this. This is Humanity Shield from rapidresponseppe.com. Not cheap, but you wouldn't need a whole bunch of them.
Oh.
I don't even know how you wash them, actually.
Well, it's the bulk order pricing. 10 to 49 shields at $49 each. Yeah,
Yikes.
each. Yes.
Okay. Yikes. Yeah. That's the mask of the week. And now I am going to yield the floor to my colleague from North Kakalaki, the Right Honorable. Right. Is that how I say it? Did I say it right?
You said it right. North Kakalaki.
North Kakalaki, the Honorable Mr. Ant Pruitt has the floor.
My pick of the week is I want to say thank you to Chad. And I mean Chad Boseman. The whole Chadwick Boseman still throws me off because I didn't know him by that name. I always knew him as Chad. I wanted to put this out there because I know a lot of listeners are from my hometown of Anderson, South Carolina. And I felt that I owe it to them to bring this up and just to share just a few minutes of what I know about Chad. Where I grew up, the house that my mother built, the land that she built it on, was owned by a Boseman family. So my neighbors were Bosemans, and there were two sisters that lived there that had another brother named Chad that he didn't live with them, but he would come by from time to time, and we would all hang out together, play basketball, and just be teenagers, just be kids, and had a good time, talked a lot of junk, had a lot of fun. And Chad was special. He was a hell of an athlete that went to another high school in the area, not the same one that I went to, and just talked a lot of trash, heck of a competitor, really, really good at the sports, But beyond that, he was an interesting kid because he wasn't like the rest of the kids that, we all had the dreams and aspirations of going pro in this sport and going pro in that and whatever. But Chad was different. Chad was into debate. Chad was into theater. And he had the visions of being able to go to college to get into theater. And most people in our area didn't think that way. And you get ridiculed when you talk like that, depending on the area that you're from, if you know what I mean. And so he continued to go on, and I wasn't in touch with him much, but I was in touch with his sister because, again, they lived next door to us. And during this time of his passing, I really feel for her because she kept us abreast of his progress and let us know that what was going on with him. And I never really saw any of his movies until 42, with him portraying Jackie Robinson. But I heard about some of his stories of just being in New York and struggling, just like all actors do. But he kept pushing forward, and he also had the mission of saying, you know what? I actually want to make the story. I want to be in directing. I want to be in the writing. The acting stuff just happened. That wasn't even his main vision. His main vision was to just make the story. And when he got that opportunity to jump into Marvel and be the Black Panther, he just took that opportunity and just absolutely crushed it, considering all the things that he dealt with growing up, considering all the things that he was dealing with at the time. And it really resonated with me. I never go to the movie theaters. I hate the movie theater experience. The only time I've gone is for Star Wars, and that was because of the connection I have with my late father. But I did go see Black Panther because of Chad. And when I went to see Black Panther, it warmed my heart to see that this man was a superhero. And in our area, superheroes didn't look like Chad. They didn't look like me. They looked like this guy with a pompadour, or just, there were no black superheroes like that. And to see that he was able to bring that to life, and my kids could see, there are superheroes out there that looks like us. We can still go out there and strive to do things beyond the basketball court and beyond the football field. We can go and write stories. We can go and make the story that we want to present and entertain millions around the world. And he put his guts into this. He was so serious about his craft, and he also wanted to make sure other people could prosper from his efforts as well. And I just wish that more people could understand the backstory behind Chad. Growing up in that tiny little town of Anderson, South Carolina, where there's not much going on there other than Clemson football. But he had a vision, and he stuck with that vision through thick and thin, getting more opportunities left and right that he had no control over. There's the story of Denzel Washington helping him pay for his trip to go to Oxford and study acting. Denzel freaking Washington. Then he gets back and he's been told no a gazillion times on set because he didn't fit this role or that role. Then there was another time in a soap opera where he was portrayed as a black man, but he didn't like how that role was being portrayed negatively. He spoke up about it, and they took him off. But he said, you know what? It's okay. I still want to make the story. It's okay. I don't have to act. I can just write and do my own stories. And then after that, all of these other doors just continue to pop up for him. And just keep pushing, folks. Don't half-ass life. We really do have a tremendous opportunity right now, even though this is COVID-19 and things are shutting down. If you have a passion about something right now, just keep going for it. Keep living it. Chad did it better than anybody that I can ever realize, considering everything that he dealt with cancer. And people are complaining about wearing a damn mask. Walk in his shoes, do what he did, and just be better. And I just wanted to say, Chad, thank you so much, man, for representing our city, representing our state, and representing our people. Resilience, brother. I love you. And to your sister, I'm not going to say your name. I'm thinking about you, too, because you've lost not one sibling 20 years, and my heart goes out to you. I love y'all. Thank y'all.
What a hero. That's beautiful.
Thank you for that.
And that's it for Twig. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. That was really great. Wow. I didn't know you knew him that well. Holy cow. Wow. Thank you, Ant. That was really from the heart. It's interesting how beloved he was in such a short career. But boy, and I'm not a Marvel fan by any means, but when I saw brilliant. Black Panther, it was like, wow.
Yeah, his sister used to send messages, and she'd say, look at my little brother, just doing it up. And I would joke with her and say, yeah, that don't look like the same dude that used to whoop our ass on the basketball court.
It's funny. He had already been diagnosed with colon cancer when he was doing Black Panther.
Yeah, we knew Chad was different from a lot of the kids that we hung out with. He was likable and could party and all of that stuff, just like any other teenager. But there was something different in that whole theater life and the debate life. He wasn't like the rest of us, and it showed. And he just kept pushing along. And it's
we should mention that the most liked tweet of all time was this tweet from his Twitter account. Saying he had passed away. 7.6 million likes, retweeted 3.1 million times.
Well, it says something too about the coverage in having covered entertainment industry. It shows how, not to racialize it, but white controlled media just didn't understand how huge he was until they started hearing the reaction and how profound a sadness this was.
I got the message from my mom when it happened, and I was like, wait a minute, no, this can't be real. And then my sons, they sent me a message because I was out. They sent me a message, and it just broke their hearts. And then my phone started ringing from people from back east, just like, this can't be real. And being able to hear everybody else's story, it just further proved how much that cat just really meant to all of us from the area. No, I didn't keep in touch with Chad. There's no way I could keep in touch with Chad. It is what it is. And I was never upset about that. But I really appreciated what he represented from the area, because y'all know how it is in the South. You've heard the horror stories that I've told about the South. And this being the so-called land of opportunity, it was great to see that he was able to take his opportunities and just really maximize it. And then beyond that, give back to everybody else and just say, hey, you can do this too. So get on out there, do the work, get slapped in the face a couple of times, but just keep going at it. And you know what? You can be a freaking superhero that we used to dream about and look at on the TV screens and movie screens when we were kids. And I never, ever would have assumed something like that would have happened until seeing that with my own eyes.
It's kind of amazing. Yeah. And I think he made 42, Thurgood Marshall, and Black Panther are 3 movies that must mean so much to black children and just black people in general about achievement and not just in sports, but you know, as a Supreme Court justice and King of Wakanda, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
If you can make it to King of Wakanda, you can make it anywhere.
Yeah. I remember when I saw Black Panther, when we left the theater, I remember walking out of the theater and just sort of standing and just looking around, and I was just taking it in.
Yeah.
And it was Phoebe and I at that particular time. It was Phoebe and I just stopped and we were just taking it in. People were taking selfies and the chatter.
It was so inspiring.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was really beautiful. It was really.
Thank you for your generosity, Ann.
Yeah, thank you.
Not easy to do that, but thank you.
Yeah, really appreciate it. He was a great actor too. If you saw him as James Brown, you realize I thought I was looking at James Brown. I was blown away. I couldn't believe.
Yeah, he did James Brown.
He was an amazing actor. And I love
started out with the soap operas.
Yeah.
Oh, but there's going to be a tribute to him tomorrow in Anderson.
Oh,
at the Civic Center.
Oh, wow.
There's been some art shared and things like that.
You should go back. I guess you can't really go back, huh? You should go. I wish you could.
No, unfortunately.
Is the family house still there? Is your mom still there?
Oh yeah, my mom's isn't moving anywhere. She had that house built and it's been there for as long as I can remember. And there's in that whole area. Oh man, it's you know, it's the Boseman land. You know, that's how small the town was, which it's huge compared to where I live now here in Northern California. But that's how small that area was. It's just all families clumped together, and you know, this is our land, and we all live together, and we love each other. We're all related to each other. It's just different there, you know.
Yeah. Well, maybe someday we'll get to go back and visit.
Indeed.
I'd love to meet your mom.
Yes.
All right, Aunt. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank y'all.
Thank you very much for that.
Y'all take care.
All right. Take care.